here we are at the Primetime Session 3 of USAPL National Powerlifting Championships, live from Orlando, Florida. I am Dennis Cherry, and I'm waiting for my co-host to arrive, so in the meantime, I'm just going to chit-chat a little bit. We have the famous Gino emceeing the event. He's a character. He's in full pirate gear and wearing the trench coat, the long leather trench coat and hat. Interesting guy. Love Gino. We're here with a lot of sponsors today. We have Titan Support Systems. They're here doing their singlets and wrist wraps and all kinds of powerlifting gear. They're even selling ammonia capsules. I never understood ammonia capsules, but they work for some people. SSP Nutrition, that's my company. We're here. We're dedicated to the drug-free athlete with our 3-tier nutrition program, our pre, post, and lean muscle meal products. We have Sling Shot here. That's fantastic if you've ever used one. As a bench presser myself, I've tried it a couple of times. I like it. GNC's here, selling their nutritional products. Got a full table full of stuff. Very nice. Nothing bad to say about GNC. They're a great company, selling great products. And bodybuilding.com is not here, but they are a sponsor. You need anything related to supplements, just go to bodybuilding.com. And last but not least is A7. Who's A7? What do they do? I'm not sure. We'll find out. I'll get an answer to that. But I'm not sure if it's that shirt. It's that shirt with those grips on the back and it kind of holds you in place when you're bench pressing. But that guy's, that's owned by Jason, that company, and it's fantastic. I tried out the shirt. I love it. And also squatters use the shirt so the bar doesn't slip on them. This one's not on. Hello. I can't hear myself. Hello.
And good evening. We welcome you to the Continental Ballroom of the Hilton Orlando International Airport in Orlando, Florida for the Primetime Wednesday night session here of the 10th Annual USA Powerlifting Raw National Championships. Brian Rushing here with you this evening, as we see some of the best participating throughout the week. And in this Wednesday night session, we'll have a lot to talk about, as we'll have the women's 57-kilogram segment tonight, as well as the men's 74-kilogram session working this evening on the broadcast. It's going to be a big night, as we'll begin with the 57-kilogram class, as Bonnie Schroeder here in just a moment, as the crowd begins to fill, will be here to begin our broadcast this evening.
So Brian, let me introduce myself to you. We haven't met before. I'm Dennis Cherry. Nice to meet you.
Dennis,
okay.
Pleasure meeting you. Dennis, you take a look at what we're going to see tonight. Are there anything specific to this evening's contest in both the women's 57 and the men's 74 that are going to stand out for you this evening in regards to the contest?
Well, I can tell you that this primetime session is, in one word, electrifying. I was here last night for it, and it was quite exciting. And this is when all of the best lifters are facing off against each other for going for that gold medal. And it's a lot of fun to watch. So, you know, these athletes are extraordinary, and we're going to see some great lifting.
We'll have 3 disciplines this evening. Of course, we'll start with the squats, beginning with the women's 57-kilogram segment, and then we'll have the men's 74-kilogram segment coming up, working in with them, and then we'll go on to the bench press, and then we'll wrap up this evening with the deadlift. We had an earlier segment this morning that I had an opportunity to working with, and David Garcia, so The action got started very early this morning, 9 a.m. As a matter of fact. We'll probably be here till at least 9:30 or 10 o'clock this evening, so it'll be a good 12 hours plus of broadcast here on this Wednesday inside the Continental Ballroom of the Hilton Orlando International Airport.
Well, I can tell you that these are long days, so as a sponsor, we get set up around 7:30 in the morning, and last night we didn't finish until 10:30 at night. So we're going to be doing this for 7 full days, and there's a lot of athletes here at the national chair. I think there's 1,200 athletes total, so this is a long event and long days, and it finishes on a very high note every night with this prime time.
Well, Dennis, while we're waiting on some of the lifters to begin their preparations to start our evening's worth of work, from a sponsor's perspective, what is the importance in regards to who is involved as a sponsor with an event like this, and then what it is that they bring to an event of this nature, and how they work in relationship to the lifters?
Well, whoever's going to sponsor this event and want to have a presence here is really touching the powerlifting community, and not only the powerlifting community, but the people that are eligible to come to the nationals. So which are let's call it the intermediate to expert lifters, and they want to be associated with those lifters, and they want to cater to those lifters. So anybody who's here really wants to have a connection, specifically in the drug-free sport of USAPL powerlifting, and cater to the intermediate to expert lifters. So as a sponsor myself, that's exactly what we're doing, handing out samples and talking one-on-one, shaking hands, spending. I mean, last night, by the end of the day, I had a sore throat. We were just talking all day.
Well, I can certainly relate to that. Broadcasting as many hours as is put on here throughout the course of the week, it can definitely really strain the vocal folds, if you will, here inside the Continental Ballroom of the Orlando International Airport Hilton, or Hyatt, I should say, as we're still just a couple moments away from getting things started here for this 2017 Raw competition. When you have a national level event like this 10th annual USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals, and you seem to get the who's who together, what are some of the things, Dennis, from your perspective specifically, do you notice when you look at this cross-section of America, if you will, when all of these people come in from varying stripes, from varying creeds, varying colors, and get together and enjoy this sport as it continues to grow in the United States?
Well, that's a great question, Brian. I can tell you is I'm not only a sponsor. We just met. I'm also a lifter. I'm a bench presser. I'm not a full power lifter, but I'm a bench presser, and I can tell you that in competing at meets at this level and just coming to participate in it as a sponsor, in one word, it's camaraderie. You see people from all around the country, even competitors against each other, and they're hugging each other, how you been, they're getting together, they're helping each other in the warm-up room, they're cheering each other on. It's fantastic to see the camaraderie in this sport, and I think that's a unique thing to powerlifting. I don't see that a lot in some other sports. I can't speak to all sports, but there's such a brother and sisterhood amongst the competitors. It's sort of like people can't wait to come to these events, not just to compete, but on the social level as well.
Well, it certainly does become a bit of a social event, as you've got so many of these people that, they spend so many hours in the gym in preparation for this moment. Now, for some of these lifters that are going to be experiencing their first event at the national level in this Raw Nationals, what are going to be some of the things that they're going to need to keep in mind as they're participating?
Difficult to announce something like that.
As Schroeder gets 3 white lights on her initial lift, so she's on the board at 120 kilos. Elizabeth Picardi, the 26-year-old California native,
okay,
will be on the rack here in just a moment.
She's colorful. We got a lot of colors going on here. We have hair matching the belt.
Well, now, and that's one of the things that I have noticed about these lifters is that there's a lot of technical things that they take in, a lot of coaching you know, they're sharing a lot of information, but really when it all boils down to it, these individuals want a platform to show off their individuality. And this, powerlifting, becomes a premium opportunity for them to do so, especially in prime time when there's just one platform working.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been known to be a little colorful on the platform at times, and I take that as an opportunity to wear my pink zebra stripe singlet or whatever it is that I might have that day.
As 3 white lights
Perfect.
go on the board.
Yeah, these opening lifts
Picardi.
are usually, I'm sorry to interrupt you, these opening lifts are usually very conservative because they want to get on the board, they want to get in the game, they want to get those jitters out of the way and focus on their next 2 lifts, which will become much more challenging.
Christina Lazo, out of Illinois, the 30-year-old, will be opening up with her lift attempt at 122.5 kilos. Here this evening inside the Continental Ballroom of the Hyatt Orlando International Airport. So glad that you could join us for this evening's Wednesday night primetime session of the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. As Lazo seems to make simple work of that, gets 3 white lights, so she's on the board with a qualifying score.
No problem there. And you know what's amazing is these spotters and loaders working all day. 12-hour days, 7 days in a row. By the time this competition's done, they'd have lifted the equivalent weight of this entire hotel.
Well, and the really interesting thing is, of course, their first focus and what they do so well is making sure that the lifter is safe in each and every endeavor that they take part in. But the way that they are able to expedite moving weights to equip the lifter for the particular lift that they're doing at that moment. I mean, I talked about it this morning with David Garcia. It looks like a NASCAR pit crew with the efficiency that they work trying to move this rack around in position for the next lifter.
Sure does.
It's a thing of art. It really is.
Okay, we have Dicy Ann Saylor. Dicy Ann. I like that name.
Dicy Ann Saylor.
Got to bring her to the craps table with a name like that.
A female raw open lifter. Georgia State record holder in both the squat and the total. So you can imagine with Dicy Ann Saylor, she's going to be pretty good at the squat. She'll probably put up a significant number as she starts at 125, 3 white lights there, so she's on the board. As Miranda Chambers will step up. For Chambers.
Okay.
This youngster out of Pennsylvania has been powerlifting since she was 11 years old. She was first in the IPF Worlds in the sub-junior category all the way back in 2014. When you're 17 years old, that's got to be almost like a decade ago. That's like a quarter of her life away.
Oh. You know, and her coach is a fantastic guy. He's a very successful powerlifting coach. He's 62 or 64 years old, and he just had a baby. God bless him.
Absolutely. Miranda Chambers, 3 white lights there, so she's on the board. As it'll bring up Christina Peracchi, a 28-year-old out of Massachusetts, who will open at 130 kilos.
Now, we do have a head spotter over there with a pink bandana around his knee. Not sure what that's all about. Maybe that's maybe he's got a little paper cut under there.
Could be. Could be. And I would imagine, I mean, you would think that just becomes part of the trade of being a spotter and a loader. I mean, you're gonna get dinged and nicked up from time to time. This Peracchi will get her opening salvo here.
Look at the focus. Way that she takes that breath and holds it the whole way. That's an important technique to raise your blood pressure, and you see a lot of that pure focus and breathing techniques and as you get into the intermediate and advanced level of the powerlifters.
So Peracchi connects on her first lift. Sierra Bernard, a 27-year-old out of New York State, is going to make her initial lift attempt at 132.5. This is a jiu-jitsu purple belt who says hello to everyone in the great state of New York. And I can promise you, if you're dealing with a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, she says hello, you say hello back.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to mess with her. She can squat more than me and kick my ass.
Sierra Bernard. their squat opportunity at 132.5. Gets 3 white lights.
Yep, that was
and
automatic.
She's on the board. Jessica Shay Edwards will be coming on here in just a second.
Purple hair and purple belt.
And she's starting out at 135. Her personal best in the squat in raw competitions is 140. So I would imagine she's at some point going to eclipse that personal best here in this evening's competition. The 39-year-old out of the state of Virginia, first place in the 57 kilo in the 2017 Arnold Sling Shot Pro-American.
Boom. No sweat. You know, if she had purple shoelaces, it might have tied off the rest of her her outfit. So I'm going to have to mention that to her.
She's on the board at 135, getting 3 white lights there. As I think we've had so far a flawless first lift for each competitor.
I haven't seen any red lights whatsoever. I think it's been all white. No.
I think that's exactly right. Melissa Barber, the 29-year-old out of Maryland, will start at 137.5.
All right, wide stance. This is going to be no problem for her. A little slow on the way up, though. I spoke a little too soon, but you know, maybe she just has to get her groove.
And Dennis, when I look at a lot of these people that are taking part in the squats in the competitions that I've done this year, it's one of the things that I've learned is that they want to make sure that they're getting enough depth on that lift. There's no question about it. And almost in that situation there, it looked like that she was trying to feel her way down a little bit and maybe got a little too low and caused a long way back up, which created some of the struggle.
Yes, absolutely. Worst, you know, you can fail in a squat by not going deep enough, but you can also fail by going too low. So you just have to find that right spot.
So, and I would imagine that in that regard, it creates a circumstance to where if you get too deep, it's not like you're not going to be able to make the lift, but it could take a little bit more out of you than you were really anticipating on that first attempt.
Right, and it could have a negative impact on your second and third attempts.
Jennifer Millican, the 34-year-old out of Tennessee.
That was perfect depth, and she just bolted right up out of the hole.
As she's on the board, 3 white lights at 160 kilos, so she has a qualifying bid here in the squats this evening. So now Elizabeth Picardi will come on. She connected, of course, like everybody else did in that first attempt. She connected at 120. She'll making an attempt here at 125.
Second attempts, here we go. This is a quick moving flight so far.
Well, and I would imagine that's one of the things that we saw last night during the Tuesday night primetime segment is when you're dealing with roughly 20 lifters, give or take a few, things begin to move pretty quickly, and that's good when you're dealing with one platform, that you don't have a lot of downtime.
And the spotters and loaders are all wearing Titan shorts, Titan t-shirts, and I just got to say that Pete from Titan has been sponsoring powerlifters for years and years, and he does a fantastic job. He's very generous to the sport, and he makes a great product. He actually sponsored me over the years for decades. Great company.
That's a miss for Picardi.
Ooh.
On that second attempt, as they say that she did not get deep enough on that lift, so she'll stay at 120. You know, Dennis, you talk about Titan. They are a proud sponsor of the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. 4 decades of champion powerlifters, always the originator, never the imitator. Be sure to learn more at www.titansupport.com. That's www.titansupport.com.
All right, I guess I segued into a commercial.
That's exactly what you did. You bring the expert analysis, I make sure that I read stuff properly. As Bonnie Schroeder will make her second attempt, this one at 127.5. And we'll see what the judges have to say about this one.
All right, looked good to me.
Didn't seem like there were any issues there. So the Iowa native gets 3 white lights. She has 127.5 in her quiver.
Yeah, well,
And we
I mean,
can
she
move
should
on.
be good. She lives in Iowa. There's nothing to do there except powerlift, right?
Well, I can, and those are some good, hardy indivials living in
yeah.
Iowa, and they do it honestly.
Yep.
No question about it.
Corn and powerlifting.
It's Christina Lazo at 130 kilos here on her second attempt.
Okay.
Connected at 122.5.
Well, she looks focused.
Lazo looks to bring it to the top.
That looked better than the first lift.
And, you know, you talk about the jitters coming into play that first lift. I would imagine it's like any other athletic endeavor. After the first play from scrimmage or the first strike thrown or right after the jump ball in basketball, once you get that first activity out of the way, it settles you in. You become regulated into what it is that you're doing. As Dicy Ann Saylor.
All right.
Is
The
back
Dice
on.
Lady.
125 is where she connected on her first lift. She'll be making an attempt at 132.5. This is a young lady, 6 marathons. So if there's any sort of a stereotype about powerlifters hating cardio, don't tell Dicy Ann Saylor that. She's run 6 marathons in 5 different states.
I could do that with my car.
Yes. That's about as much marathon as I'm going to be doing.
Look at that. Nice, slow, methodical, no problem. Looks like she's just warming up. Made it look easy.
132.5. She gets 3 white lights, so she'll move forward in her endeavor as Miranda Chambers will step up to the platform.
17-year-old.
Miranda's been lifting for 6 years. Bars loaded. 6 years.
So the 17-year-old comes to the platform.
Never been beaten in 6 years.
Undefeated in 6 years of lifting.
You know, and Dennis, I would imagine that having the youngsters buy into this sport at such a tender age is necessary for the lifeblood of the sport.
Well, you know, it's really attracting the younger lifters. It's becoming more and more mainstream. I'm seeing it in colleges. The college teams are, and I'm even seeing colleges offer scholarships for powerlifting. I wish they had that when I was in school. But
it is a burgeoning sport in the college ranks. As you see programs popping up all over the place. Programs that are popping up as close to my hometown in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. I noticed that there's a club team at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, which is an hour and a half from the Charlotte metro area. Sierra Bernard connected at 132.5. She'll be attempting 137.5 here with her second effort.
oh,
She's going to be
quick work by the spotters. You know, just to echo what you just said, I was talking to some of the guys on the Rutgers powerlifting team because I'm from New Jersey. And I said, oh, how many people do you have on the team? 74. Really, it's an exploding sport amongst the ranks, and it really gives a great path for kids to stay out of trouble, stay healthy, don't do drugs, and do something that's good for your body and competitive and fun.
Christina Peracchi will be making her second attempt. She connected at 130 first time out, now at 137.5. And, you know, for a kid that just starts in the weight room at middle school or junior high school and then advances to high school and really gets into the powerlifting, it becomes an avenue for college. So maybe you don't have what it takes to play college football or another sport, but because of what's going on in the world of powerlifting, it creates a great opportunity.
Yes.
Peracchi connects at 137.5 with 3 white lights there. And as long as you can have those opportunities continue to happen for young powerlifters, you'll continue to see growth and development in the sport where not only you'll have bigger numbers of powerlifters engaged, but you'll see the quality of the powerlifting continuing to grow, and that'll show itself up in generations to come at the international level.
Absolutely.
Jessica Shay Edwards taking the jump of 7.5 kilos.
Ooh. Nice. Looked good to me.
Seemed to be good work there. She gets 3 white lights. She's got a 142.5 on the board in her second endeavor. Just getting started here at the Hyatt Orlando International Airport, the ballroom here at the Hyatt, the Continental Ballroom, as Melissa Barber.
She's holding the bar high up on her back in relation to some of the other girls. That's interesting. It's all balance, whatever works best for your body mechanics. Oh!
She will not be able to connect there.
Quick catch by the spotters, though. So I'm sure she'll follow at the same weight on her third attempt.
She does have a qualifying bid, so she is on the board in the squat segment, but she'll have to rely on a third one if she looks to improve the number.
Look at her coach. He's a big guy. Power your own. Okay.
Millican connected at 160 on her first effort. Will be making the jump to 170 with this bid. And Dennis, to kind of give you some contrast there, Millican dropping it much lower, almost into the middle of the shoulder area.
Her the clasp on her necklace is not in the back of her neck. That's bothering me. But I'll overlook it. Oh, look at how fast she goes. That's some speed.
3 white lights for Millican, so she's on at 170, improving off of her initial attempt, which was at 160.
You see the speed on her weight, on her descent, just produced a lot more kinetic energy at the bottom, and it gave her that thrust to come on up. And speed plays such a big importance in the sport of powerlifting. People think that it's mostly strength, but speed is actually, in my opinion, more important than strength when it comes to powerlifting.
And I guess in reality, as long as you can have that kinetic energy working in your favor and can harness the energy, then that becomes a real good play for you. I would imagine if you do it recklessly, you end up doing nothing in the long term, but just creating an injury scenario for you.
Yes.
If you're not able to harness that power coming down all the way back up.
So let me rephrase it. Controlled speed.
Okay.
Yep.
I think that's very solid. As Elizabeth Picardi, who missed on her second attempt at 125, will now take a second go at it.
Oh!
Picardi not going to be able to complete 125.
A little narrow on her stance. Not that I'm an expert in squatting, but I think maybe that might have hampered her a little bit.
So she will take 120 with her into the bench press segment. As we're engaged in the 57-kilo women's side. Here in just a little bit, we'll dive into the 74-kilo men's segment of this primetime session here in Orlando.
Boom. Oh, she's getting hit. All right. I had a coach that hit me once like that. I saw stars. I almost passed out before I even took my attempt.
It would require a hardy individual to be able to take that on and still complete the lift. Schroeder will be making an attempt going from 127.5 on her second to now 132.5 in her final opportunity.
Look up, look up.
And it seemed like it was once she got to the bottom, it was a slow go getting back up, but once she got to a particular point, she was able to drive the rest of the way through. And once she was able to get over that hump, if you will, she really drove that out and did a good job there as she connects, as she's 3 for 3 on her lifts.
Third attempt for Christina Lazo. Okay, her first two looked good. Her second one looked better than her first, so let's see if the third one looks better than her second.
Out of the state of Illinois, already on the board at 130. Looking to connect here at 137 and a half.
Oh.
And again, the spotter's doing a good job there of taking care of business and protecting the lifters.
She had some flexibility to get out like that. I think that would have broke my back. Okay, Sierra came for business here. She's not fooling around. Jiu-jitsu, powerlifting.
Trying to redeem herself from the miss at 137 and a half on her second effort. See what happens here. She cannot connect. So she'll take a 132 and a half with her into the bench press segment.
You know, redeeming yourself in the sport is very, very difficult. Very few lifters are able to get a weight after missing it. Unless they just missed it for, you know, a technical reason with the judges. But if they missed it like they didn't complete the lift, it's extremely hard and very rare that they're able to come back and get it the next time.
It's Miranda Chambers. Watching her tonight as a grandma, a sister, and a boyfriend back in Pennsylvania.
All right, there she goes. Well, they're going to be clapping right now because she just got it.
137
She's
and a half.
Smiles.
2 out of 3. White light.
The
So
coach is happy.
Go. So she has a 137 and a half to take her into the bench press segment. And we're running at a really good clip here, and I would imagine that for the lifters in and of themselves, once they get their flight up on the platform and they continue to run through, I would imagine that they would probably want a fast pace in the midst of their flight, knowing that they'll have some downtime with other flights coming up here in just a moment.
Yeah, but it is tough. If it's moving fast, it's difficult to get enough rest for your next attempt. You're practically getting off the platform and sitting down for one or 2 minutes and then getting ready to lift again.
Dicy Ann Saylor, an attempt of 140 after connecting at 125 and 132 and a half in her previous 2 attempts.
Slow,
Saylor.
no problem, smooth. Dicy.
Seemed like there was more in the tank there.
Yeah.
She could have been a little more ambitious had she chosen to.
Dicy Ann is a smooth lifter.
And at 140 now, she'll take a very solid number into her bench press segment. Melissa Barber will make her final attempt at 142 and a half after missing second time around.
All right, here we go. Nice fluorescent color. Purple hair. Fluorescent yellow bracelet as well, a match. Well, that's actually the lifter's bracelet. I got one too.
Yeah, I even got one of those, and I can promise you I didn't qualify for nationals. That's for doggone
I don't know why I got a yellow one. Maybe because I'm a sponsor. Oh, she didn't go down deep enough, I don't think.
And I think she knows it.
She's saying no.
She knew it. Everybody in the building knew it. The judges knew it, so she misses there. So she'll take a 137 and a half with her into the bench press. It's Christina Peracchi.
Christina Peracchi with the red, white, and blue star-spangled banner headband. I got one of them. I like that thing.
3 final lifts here in the squat segment of the women's flight this evening.
Sporting a Titan singlet.
No more changes. Lifters in the next flight. No more changes to your openers. And then Millican.
She's got red, white, and blue socks. Very nice ensemble.
Up. Trying to fight
little crooked, little ugly, but I think she got it.
The bar did seem to get a little uneven, but as long as she continues an upward progression and there's no stalling out, she's going to be just fine, and she gets 3 white lights there, so she connects. She has 142 and a half to take with her to the bench press, as that'll bring up Shay Edwards' for her final effort.
She's the second to last person in the flight.
Shay's got some folks checking out the action from the Virginia Beach, Virginia area. Daughter Marty, boyfriend Josh, all in the Virginia Beach, the Tidewater area.
Come on now. Oh, she almost had it. Almost had it.
Edwards can't quite drive there. She'll take 142.5 with her into the next segment.
Wow, this is a big jump, huh?
160, 170, both successful, and now she's looking to take on 175. For Millican, 174.5 is her squat best. So she's looking for a new personal best here in this opening segment of the primetime session here on Wednesday night.
She still didn't fix that necklace, but it's certainly not stopping her from squatting a lot. She's intense, ready to go. Ooh. Oh.
She won't be able to get there.
Not enough.
Be at 170. So an attempt to break a personal best falls short, but she'll have 170 going into the bench press as that cleans up the women's flight as they are participating this evening at 57 kilos. And now we bring on the men. The men's flight getting started this evening at 74 kilos. So we'll have David Cauchon.
Cauchon?
Checking in for
Cauchon
his first.
or Cauchon? Cauchon.
I'm going to go with Cauchon, hoping
All right.
that with some caution I'm correct.
Okay.
Myo Thiha and Eric Lapointe, first three lifters.
I'm sure it won't take long if I am mistaken in that pronunciation for someone to correct me. David coming in. His first lift for the 29-year-old out of Connecticut will be at 210 kilos. His personal best is 222.5. So certainly establishing a number is his priority here, but we could without question see a personal best effort later on in the evening.
Is he sporting a pair of Chuck Taylors? Those old school Converse sneakers? Look good.
Yep. Cauchon's on the board at 210. And I'm still amazed. I mean, Dennis, there's two places that I can guarantee you I'll see Chuck Taylors. A middle school campus and a powerlifting event. As I've seen a great number of Chuck Taylors make their way onto the platforms here in the last 2 days.
Yeah, and in my father's storage closet from when he was a kid.
But they are a popular powerlifting shoe. An unconventionally popular powerlifting shoe. You'd think with all the technologies and all the newfangled gadgets and gizmos that are worked on, the old standard Chuck Taylor works for a lot of these folks.
Well, if something's broke, you don't fix it.
Myo Thiha, the 23-year-old out of North Carolina.
Yeah, young kid.
It's 3 white lights, so he's on at 215 for his opening salvo this evening.
So 23, he's in the junior division now.
Well, and he actually has, they've got him listed in the men's Raw Open. I don't see another slot on the scoreboard for him to be working anything out of the open.
All right, he's going after the big boys. Good for him.
485 pounds.
Eric Lapointe.
485 pounds. I can bench that, but I can't squat it.
3 times his body weight.
Out of the state of New Hampshire. Lapointe, a sales manager.
Now he can wear those sneakers at night on a construction job in the highway and he won't get hit by a car. Because you can see them a mile away.
As Lapointe, and you mentioned that, Lapointe gets 3 white lights at his first attempt at 220. LJ Abner, out of New Jersey.
That's my home state.
Says hello to all of his friends back in New Jersey.
Nice. All right, Lawrence.
His last meet that he participated in, a perfect 9 for 9, which is exactly, that's the standard that these lifters want to, they don't want to be red lighted on any of their lifts. As LJ Abner,
all right,
starting at 220.
No problem.
His personal best is 232 and a half, so he's on his way to making an effort there with one of his lifts at some point. And that'll bring up Josiah Vivero. Vivero out of the state of Virginia, a George Mason graduate. He's also a coach at the Shenandoah Valley Performance Center. As the former Patriot will make his first attempt here in the squat segment. 220 is his first offering.
So, by the way, I just received word from a guest at home telling me that the pink bandana is for Breast Awareness Month. So, I should have known
It
that.
is October, so there's some of that going on.
Okay.
Now, Dennis, in all honesty, with the camera as it is, that could have easily have been a faded red bandana, but for it to be on him, he could be honoring someone in his life that is battling breast cancer, so a very noble thing for our loader to be engaged in this evening.
I was tipped off by John D'Alessio from New Jersey, the head of the New Jersey chairman for New Jersey USAPL Powerlifting.
It's David Shelton, the 24-year-old out of Texas. Seemed to make quick work out of that at 222 and a half. And David Shelton, apparently his coach is David Garcia out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Garcia was in your chair this morning with me as we handled almost 5 hours of morning action as we got started right at 9 a.m. and we were completing the action just a hair before 2 p.m. local time.
All right, Kevin's wearing a very colorful headband. What is that? Those donuts?
I think it's donuts.
Wow. I'm getting hungry. I don't know about you.
Kevin Nguyen, the 22-year-old out of Virginia.
Yep.
Lifting in both the junior segment and the open segment. And at 225, he's on the board.
Yeah, well, wear a donut bandana like that, he's allowed to when he can squat that much. He can get away with it.
Yeah, and the one thing that, as we're finding out more and more about these lifters and knowing about their personalities and their likes and their dislikes and so on and so forth, beginning to understand that they do have some quirks and some idiosyncrasies that that do add some character and some color to the events. I see a lot of T-shirts running around here, you know, not a fan of donuts, big fan of donuts, don't really know all of the context as to why it is what it is, but in that regard, you take a look at Kevin Nguyen. If you're going to wear a bandana that has donuts on it, you're probably pro-donut.
Taylor Allwood, let me tell you something. His hair is perfect. Now, if he can keep it like this during all 9 lifts, I'd be really impressed.
Well, right now, for the moment, it is perfectly coiffed. As the New York native, 29 years old, 235
kilos.
kilos.
He's got to put some weight on. And
Well,
his hair did not move. Perfect. Okay, he's got 8 more to go.
So Atwood on the board at 235. That'll bring up Stephen Lehew. out of the state of Texas.
Lehew.
Blake Lehew, a 2016 Junior Raw equipped world champion. Lehew starting at 245. However, his personal best is at 247 and a half. So I would imagine once he establishes a number here, he'll make a quick effort to go past his previous best in the squat.
Where's he from?
Out of the state of Texas.
Yep. He's got the beard, the long hair. We just got to tell Gino, make sure he doesn't stand in front of the camera anymore.
Well, Gino, one of the more notable figures at any powerlifting competition. I've been here twice to Orlando this year, and he's been here, and he's one of the real rock stars at the event. It's Blake Lehew. He misses.
I don't think he went deep enough.
And Lehew had to take a look at the scoreboard, as it was unanimous that the red lights came on.
Right.
But he was kind of stunned that he actually did not connect on that lift. R.J. Hizon out of the state of Washington. Now, Dennis, next year, it'll be closer to his neck of the woods as he makes the flight from one corner of the to the country to another, as he'll be in Spokane, Washington, if all goes well, next year for the 2018 Open Nationals.
Yep. Yep, that's going to be a long trip for some athletes, but... Oh, thank you, Tony. I just got an SSP smoothie.
250 on the attempt. We'll let you indulge on that. You can give us a scouting report on that here a little bit later on.
God damn, that's good. Woo, I needed it. No dinner.
Hizon connects there on his lift.
Speaking of Gino, by the way, a couple of times Gino was saying, well, he missed the lift because he didn't get the right depth, or he did something, and somebody went up to him and said, well, what makes you the coach? What makes you an expert? You're not even a referee. So Gino went out and got his refereeing certificate with the USAPL, and now he's qualified to say whatever he wants. So he's really dived into this sport, not only as an announcer, but in every aspect. He knows all the lifters. He remembers people from their last competition or the year before, and not just the notable lifters, all of the lifters.
Well, and he brings a real historical perspective to the events as well. And though I'm sure he could become a judge and an official, I'm sure he prefers to be where he is right now.
Oh, absolutely. Gino's from my home state of New Jersey. In fact, I own health clubs in New Jersey, and Gino used to come to my one gym. That's where I know him from originally, long time ago. He was announcing our the local meets.
Cauchon cannot connect at 222 and a half. So he'll stay at 210 for his qualifying number.
Myo Thiha from North Carolina coming in for his second attempt.
Connected at 215 first time around, now at 227 and a half.
It looks like he's getting ready to go sit down and watch TV. He's a calm, cool, collective. You see the difference between some of the athletes. They get all amped up, some jump around, some get slapped on the back, others just kind of walk up and do it.
And again, kind of speaking to the character and the and just sort of the individuality of the sport. Is Thiha very businesslike in his approach?
Well, let's see if he's businesslike in getting white lights. And he is.
He did some good work there. The second attempt gets 2 out of 3 white lights, so he's in at 227 and a half.
Eric's got the music going. He's chewing on his mouthpiece. He's in the groove right now. He's in the zone.
Connected at 220. His first lift. Now will be making an attempt at 230.
Eric Lapointe, New Hampshire.
All right.
Lapointe steps back, will wait on the signal to engage the lift.
Lapointe is on point.
We'll wait on the judge's word. 3 white lights. A very solid lift for Eric Lapointe, so he's at 230. That'll bring up LJ Abner. LJ Abner making an attempt at 230, which is not far off his personal best, and I would imagine it would stand to reason that if he connects here at 230, we could see him take the jump to 235, which would become a new personal best for him in raw competition. Here about midway through this squat segment here during prime time here on a Wednesday night. So glad that you could join us. And Abner looked really solid there. The only possible question would be depth, and it's not. He gets 3 white lights, a perfect lift for LJ Abner, so he's on the board at 230. That'll bring up David Shelton. David Shelton will come on.
Second attempt.
Came on at 222.5 for his first lift, making a very sizable jump here, as he's going some 12.5 kilos from first to second attempt, as he'll be stationed at 235 in this effort.
That's like what, 31, 32 pounds?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
518.1 pounds.
He looks young. How old is he?
24.
24.
Shelton. He's 2 for 2. 3 white lights there, so he qualifies now at 235. Shelton. And already at 235, his previous best in the squat was 227.5. So a good number there for Mr. Shelton. Here in the 74 kilogram men's primetime segment, as they are combining with the women's 57 for this primetime session on a Wednesday night. It's Josiah Vivero, the 22-year-old out of Virginia. Will be making his second attempt, this one a 235 effort. Seemed to handle that with relative ease.
He's smiling, he's happy.
And he should be. 3 white lights there, so he's at 235. It's 2 for 2 in the squat.
Okay.
Kevin Nguyen. 225 kilos was what he connected on in his first lift.
And he got it easily.
7.5, and he did.
Donuts and all.
Donuts and all. So Nguyen addresses the bar. Will look to step back and receive the call from the official, and he'll engage the lift. No holes in that lift, I'll tell you. He gets 3 white lights there, so he's on at 237.5. A very solid effort there for Nguyen, as he's now got a new qualifying score of 237.5. That'll bring up Taylor Atwood, the 29-year-old from the state of New York, with the perfectly coiffed hair, as we established 1 lift to go. Is Atwood connected at 235, now going to 247.5.
So I was right earlier when I was talking about A7. That's that, it's like a t-shirt, and they have a rubber grip on the back, so when you're squatting, the bar doesn't move. It's called a fitness bar grip shirt. And then when you're bench pressing, it stops you from sliding on the bench. It's pretty cool. Guy Jason owns the company, started it out of his basement. We were talking a little bit. Very nice guy. And nice, great product, too. I like it.
Another advance in the powerlifting world that makes life a little easier.
Yeah, he's got
competing.
He's got like 13 patents. I called him the Thomas Edison of powerlifting.
Atwood 3 for 3 there, so he's on at 247.5. And speaking of A7, A7 is a proud sponsor of the USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. You can follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So not only are they forward-thinking on the patent side, but they're forward-thinking on the social media side. You can find them also by logging on to www.a7intl.com. That's a7intl.com.
Well, you know, I hate to say it, but today, if you're not on Facebook and Instagram and social media in a club, with a company, you might as well not be in business.
It's very hard to do business without having an immense social media presence. Stephen Lehew, for his second attempt, he missed at 245 on his first effort.
So he went up to 250.
And I don't think the weight was the issue. I think it was depth on the first lift, so he's going to carry on with his typical program.
Well, I don't know. I hope he can get
There's a risk reward in this. There's no question.
Close.
See what the judges say. 3
Good,
white lights.
Good.
So he's back on program.
Yeah, you know, you miss any one of the attempts and you're out of the competition.
Well,
if you miss all three,
absolutely,
one of the lifts.
And we've seen it a couple of times already today in other disciplines, but if Lehew doesn't connect on that one at 250, it completely derails his entire program that he had intended on working today. Because then you pretty much have to do something just to get a qualifying score, or you end up bombing out of the entire competition. R.J. Hizon connected at 250 first go round, now is at 262.5.
An unofficial world record for R.J. Wow, this is a serious lift here. 262.5 kilos.
Hizon.
American record and unofficial world record. Here we go. Up. Yeah.
We'll see what the judges say. Will he meet the scrutiny? And he doesn't.
Ooh.
A split decision. 2 red, 1 white.
He wasn't deep enough. He wasn't deep enough, and he didn't lock out his knees upon completion. Apparently. According to Gino. But he should know, because he is a certified referee.
So David Cauchon connecting at 210 on his first attempt, missed at 222.5. His second go round. Connecting on this will equal a personal best for Cauchon on this third lift opportunity.
You know, missing attempts at these national and world level meets is very disheartening, but a lot of times an athlete learns something from it and gets better as a result. I've had my share of bomb outs, and it's never fun, but always come back. That's what powerlifters do.
Well, and we'll be able to delve more into bench pressing, which is your forte, because there's a very differing dynamic at the bench press, and we'll go into it, that's different from even the squat and the deadlift. It's Cauchon gets the 3 white lights there, so he's on at 222.5, so he matches his personal best. As Myo Thiha comes on for his third attempt. So he connected at 215, 227.5, will now be making a bid at 230.
Yep, he's smiling now a little bit. We got a little emotion out of him. Okay, calm, cool, and collective. He kind of barely got his second attempt, so this 230, it's going to be a very close lift in my opinion.
Thea not going to be able to connect at 230, so he'll carry 227.5 on with him there.
Maybe if he got a little bit more fired up, it would help him. Get some of that ammonia salt from the Titan booth.
LJ Abner.
Brian, that's the first time today I heard you laugh. I got you.
You did get me.
Okay, Lawrence.
Eric on deck, Shelton in the hole. Josiah 4 out.
Lawrence from New Jersey. Strongest state in the world.
His third attempt at 232.5.
Oh!
Cannot quite connect there, so he'll take 230 with him to the bench press.
So on these third attempts, we're going to see some failures because people are going for it. They're going for their personal best. They're going for whatever they can do to win, for top medal, all of the above, records.
Well, and part of the program, I mean, if you're in a spot to where you feel like you've already met your objective with your first or second lift, you're essentially playing with house money. You just go all out for a third opportunity if that fits your program.
Well, very rarely does it happen in a squat because you still have the bench and the deadlift to go. So you want to get as many points on the board as possible. And that would be more applicable, I guess, at the end of the meet when you're finishing up your deadlift.
Not going to be able to complete the lift, as Lapointe will go 230 into the bench press. And that'll bring up David Shelton.
And he's going to stay. They're keeping the bar at 240.
So Shelton at 222.5 connected on his opener. 235 is what he got on his second attempt. Now making an effort of 240 in the finale here for his squat segment.
By the way, this is only the 74 kilo weight class, which is 168 pounds?
Somewhere in that ballpark. Yes, sir.
These guys are strong.
They really are.
It's very impressive.
You know, sometimes I fall into a little bit of a malaise just kind of looking at the numbers because every guy is throwing up somewhere in the same neighborhood of numbers. But then you begin to look at these guys as people and you're like, wow, this is really impressive that you're able to push around as much weight as you do.
I mean, these guys are under 170 pounds and are squatting 500.
Well, and they clearly have a great deal of pride in what it is that they do, as they represent themselves, their family, certainly the gym or the club that they're working with, and then even in some cases, as we saw some folks this morning and afternoon, even getting the chance to represent their country, which has to be a whole different level of special.
Oh, yeah. You know, going overseas and representing the country in this sport is the highest level. We're not in the Olympics, so that's it. The World Championships is the peak. Oh, no.
Vivero can't connect on his finale. So he'll carry a score of 235 over into his second segment this evening. Kevin Nguyen.
Okay, Kevin's getting his mojo on.
2 for 2 in his opening two lifts. 225 and 237.5 respectively. Going to take a 10-kilo jump to 247.5, which is 545 basically and a half pounds.
And I got to tell you, he's got a perfect hairdo too. He's got the donut bandana, and his hair is
a little different than Taylor Atwood's, but still very nicely done.
Come on, Kevin.
Not only does he squat a lot, he came here to look good.
Well, when you squat well, you look good, you feel good.
And he squats well.
He gets 3 white lights there, so he
There it
carries
is.
with.
He's fired up
And
now.
he's
Now
amped.
he's getting ready for the bench press now. He's going in there. Successful squats.
That's got to be a good lift for Nguyen. Is putting together a really good opening segment in the squats can go a long way for putting you in real title contention.
573 on the bar for Blake.
It's Blake Lehew.
Bars loaded
After
for Blake.
missing at 245, he stayed on his program, went to 250 on the second lift, nailed it, and now going for 260 here on his finale.
It's interesting that, you know, the squats, some guys excel at the squats, but body mechanics, usually if you're great at squat, you're not great at the deadlift or vice versa. And the bench lies somewhere in the middle.
These 3 disciplines, when you put them together, it really is a good test of pure athletic ability, pure strength, but the technical ability to handle the varying disciplines. It's Lehew out of
he
Texas.
got it. So it looks like he went deep enough.
2 out of 3 misses.
He's struggling today. He missed his opener, he got his second, and then he just missed his third on a technicality that I believe was depth.
I believe he had his coach go over to at least get a confirmation.
Yeah, maybe they should be complaining to the jury. Who knows?
We'll see what comes of that a little bit later on as Taylor Atwood will be followed by R.J. Hizon.
Let's go, Taylor.
The last 2 lifters in the men's 74. As then will then reset everything.
He's getting his angry on right now. Focus. This is a big lift.
262 and a half after connecting at 247 and a half.
I don't know where the countdown clock is, but
he has 20 seconds left right now. So wait on the official signal. And he'll engage in the lift.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, come on. Look at him. Oh, he's ready to go.
Well, you mentioned at 235 that he needs to put some more weight on there, and he certainly heeded your advice as he connects there at 262 and a half.
And he had more in the tank.
So R.J. Hizon will look to match the 262 and a half that Atwood just delivered.
Okay, we have a junior American record and an unofficial world record. This is a big lift. 262 and a half kilos.
And the crowd beginning to really intently view this particular lift. The phones get out. People begin to move in their seat, going to the edge of their seat.
578.7 pounds. That's a lot of weight for 168 pound guy.
He's still working. He won't be able to get it. I mean, the equivalent of almost 2 NFL offensive linemen.
Right.
On his back, he tried to lift him in a squat segment, could not connect at 262 and a half. He'll take 250 with him into the bench press as we've completed our first discipline here inside the Hyatt Orlando International Airport, the Continental Ballroom. So glad that you're here with us. Along with Dennis Cherry, this is Brian Rushing. As Dennis, through the first segment, the squats, what are some of the things that you saw out of these lifters that really impressed you here in this early going?
Well, I see a lot of intensity. I mean, these guys are coming here to win. So it's very competitive, very tight, and, you know, it's going to be a battle over the course of the next 6 attempts. Who's going to represent our country
well, I
at
think
the
here
World Championships?
In the early going, I think I was really impressed by what Atwood brought to the table, and you could see, I mean, this guy's not just looking the part tonight. He performed. He put 3 really good squats out for the crowd this evening, and they responded as they liked what they saw. This could be a very interesting night of lifts as we go into what is your forte, talking about the bench press. And Dennis, the question that I would ask you is, from your perspective, what differentiates the bench press from the other 2 disciplines that makes it something to where if you're really good at it, you can really separate yourself from the rest of the field?
Well, what separates it is that it's the best of the 3 lifts.
Okay.
Obviously, the people that squat and deadlift are the ones that don't know how to bench. That's what I tell people who ask me why I don't powerlift. But all kidding aside, the bench press is, it's an upper body sport, primarily an upper body sport. Obviously the deadlift and the squat are very focused on the hamstrings and the glutes and the lower back. But once you get into the bench press, it's predominantly chest, shoulders, triceps, and it's a whole different lift, not even closely related. But I can tell you that the proper technique in the bench press is really when you incorporate your leverage using your legs and glutes and get a little arch in your back to use the strength of your lower body to dig your shoulders into the bench press, getting really tight with your shoulders, almost trying to pinch a quarter in between your shoulder blades, getting down in that bench press real nice and tight, and bringing the bar down in a perfect movement on the way down, and flexing your thighs, flexing your butt, flexing your shoulders, not moving anything else, and then just thrusting the weight off of your chest, exploding the weight off of your chest. Not necessarily straight up and straight down, but slightly back in like an arch type of fashion. So it really puts the whole body to the test, in my opinion. Not to say that the squat and the deadlift don't, but it puts the whole body to the test in a different manner. It's not just like you're lying down on the bench and your feet are flat and your legs have nothing to do with the lift. You really need to have the entire body incorporated into that lift.
Well, and Dennis, to take it a step further, if you've spent any time at a gym or a club or at a weight facility or anything of that nature, it seems like that just about everybody benches, but they're doing it and they're not doing it under the scrutiny of a competition. What is going to be the most different that you'll see? What is going to be some of the biggest differences that you'll see here at a competition level of the bench press versus the guy that's just basically just trying to bulk up on the bench at the local club?
Well, I mean, the list is fairly long. It'll start with your feet have to be flat, your butt has to be on the bench, your head has to be on the bench. You can't move. You got to take that weight off, and you have to be in the completely locked out position before you even get to start command. Sometimes I've held that weight out there for 10 seconds before I got to start command because my left arm was slightly bent, which is very taxing, when you have 500 plus pounds on the bar. Then you're going to have to bring the bar down to your chest and hold it motionless for a pause. You have to wait for that head judge. And even if you're touching your chest, you're not necessarily going to get the pause command. You're not going to necessarily get the start command because the bars might still be rocking back and forth or slightly moving. You have to be completely motionless on your chest before you get the press command. Then you're going to press the weight up, and you have to be completely locked out. Not almost locked out, not barely locked out, but 100% locked out, and hold it there until that head judge says rack it. So it's much more difficult than whatever you think that you can do in the gym.
So it sounds like that, Dennis, it's an exercise in being incredibly technically sound on the lift, and the way that I would think the only way that you can really be technically sound is to repeat the motion over and over and over again, just making sure that you've really grooved out a repeatable lift.
Absolutely. I mean, it has to be second nature. So when I'm in the gym, And in training, I make a point to make sure that my feet are always on the ground, that I'm not training one way but competing another. So everything in the gym is gearing up for the platform in the competition. In my training, I'll hold the weight out. I'll do what's called heavy holds, where I'll take the weight that might be like even above my full max and just hold it out there for 10 seconds, for 20 seconds, with straight, completely locked out arms, just to practice getting comfortable with handling that kind of weight. Because on that platform, anything can happen. I believe you have to train under not only competition conditions, but adverse conditions that are even more difficult than competition. So when it comes time for the competition, you're prepared for it. These powerlifting competitions are all about preparation. A lot of people, they say, oh, you're going to compete this weekend, good luck. I said, well, thank you, but luck is for the unprepared. I'll take the luck, but I'm ready for this.
So we're just seconds away from getting started here inside the Continental Ballroom of the Orlando International Airport. The Hyatt Hotel is where we are this evening, along with Dennis Cherry. This is Brian Rushing. So glad that you could join us as we had a very entertaining squat segment here in prime time, and now we'll go into the very technical aspect of the bench press before Dennis, as I've had a couple of color analysts agree with me in the description. If this is a technical pursuit, the bench press, the deadlift is going to be the one that is most like the home run derby. In a home run derby, it's either going to go out of the yard or it's not. It's very easy to understand. You either hammer the deadlift or you don't, and it seems to be the one event as it gets to a crescendo that really brings the people to their feet. As Sierra Bernard will engage in her first opportunity at 67.5.
That looked easy. Looked like her last warm-up, and a lot of people on there. We have Gino telling us something. Okay, he wants us to lower the music. Now we're putting it up. Make up your mind, Gino. Okay.
So Gino's satisfied, so we can carry on.
Okay.
Elizabeth Picardi, the 26-year-old.
Who put him in charge anyway to tell us to lower the music? Who the heck does he think he is? Let's raise it up just to annoy him right now.
Well, and to that end, it's a circumstance to where it's very difficult for these lifters because they're waiting on these audible signals from the judges, and I can imagine in a room full of chatter, a room full of music, and a room full of energy, it requires complete discipline and concentration to make sure that they hear those calls.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about the bench press that differentiates between a squat and a deadlift is you cannot see the head judge that's telling you what to do. So you have to listen, and there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of music, and it's very difficult to hear that start command. So a lot of times that head judge has to be very loud and say start or rack, or press on the bench press, or rack.
Christina Lazo speaking to the spotters and the loaders,
giving them a little.
Usually this is conversation about the handoff. Would that be correct?
Either that or she was telling them, what drink she would like to have after she's celebrating tonight.
Well, there's that possibility. 72.5 kilos.
Wow. She's got a big arch, wide grip. The maximum grip that you can use is your index finger on the rings. And the wider that your grip is, the less of a stroke that you have, the shorter distance that the bar has to travel. However, not all people use the widest grip possible. They go with what works best for them. Everybody's body mechanics are different. I've seen guys do what to me is a close grip or a medium grip, and they bench over 600 pounds like that.
So Dicy Ann Saylor will engage her first bench press.
Kata Dice Girl is up.
Saylor, an attempt of 72.5 as she took 140 into the squat.
See how long she had to hold the weight out there? That's not easy when it's close to your maximum capacity. It's very difficult to hold that weight out there.
So Saylor connects there, as that'll bring on Bonnie Schroeder.
For Bonnie Schroeder from Iowa.
She's nodding her head, confident, ready to go stick this opener, no problem.
She holds in the state of Iowa records for 4 state marks in various and sundry disciplines. She also, in the 56-kilo raw bench, she's the raw bench deadlift and the push-pull, as well as the overall. That's the 4 state marks that she owns in the state of Iowa. Making her first attempt at 75 kilos.
And you know what? That's not easy to do in Iowa. There's a lot of strong people over there.
A very accomplished career already for the 30-year-old. Still has much on the horizon.
No problem.
As that lift will pick up 3 white lights. So she's on the board at 75.
Going right into Melissa Barber. I guess it's the same weight. There you go.
75.
When it's the same weight, you better be ready because they're going to say bars loaded as soon as the other person is finished and off the platform. I've seen people miss their lifts because it's the same weight and they weren't ready.
Barber carried a 137.5 out of the squats.
Very slow and controlled on the way down. The slower you go on the way down, the more energy you're using. But it's hard to bring heavy weight down fast. So what might look slow to us is actually fast for her.
Well, and especially when you've got to come to a discernible pause before going back up and waiting on that signal. I would imagine that for her, she's probably realized that in the timing of that, she can get that more efficiently to a standstill and get the call to engage the lift, and kind of works for her. As Christina Peracchi will step up, a 75-kilo lift for the young lady out of Massachusetts.
Very patriotic today, Christina. Nice.
So at 75, she gets 3 white lights. She's on the board.
Again, we'll see the white lights. 3 white lights is, I want to say, almost expected on the opening lifts. If you miss an opening lift, you're in trouble, unless it's a real technical problem.
Well, and we saw at least one situation in this morning's bench press to where someone did a flawless lift, but because of the noise and the music and whatnot, misunderstood the call, and so therefore started prematurely and was red lighted on the lift.
Exactly what I'm saying is the bench press, because you can't see the head judge. Just like the squat and the deadlift, you're looking at the judge. They're giving you verbal and physical cues, but on the bench press.
So Chambers gets 2 out of 3 white lights there. She gets the wing judges to say, okay, they agree with the lift. The central judge was the one that said, maybe not.
Well, we wonder what happened. 198 pounds.
90
technically
kilos.
198.4.
Almost 200 pounds.
And she weighs, this is the 57-kilo weight class.
It just kind of speaks. Once you get to the national level of powerlifting, you're getting into some really high cotton. These are very accomplished individuals at both their local and state levels. They are truly the best of the best that this country has to offer. Jennifer Millican will step up. And the one thing about going with the single platform in the prime time, I mean, once we get to the bench press, it does become a little more methodical here in the second discipline, as there are moving parts going on. You've also got the various and sundry commands that they're waiting on. So the lift typically takes a little longer from start to finish.
Yeah.
But very critical lifts nevertheless.
They got to get the safety racks, not only the height of the bar, but the safety racks in the proper position. Those safety racks are there for a very good reason. We used to compete years ago before the safety racks were around, and on the bench press at the Nationals, I dropped 601 on my chest and broke my sternum and 4 of my ribs. That hurt.
Oh, there's no question about it. I think I would have fared far worse.
So I can tell the folks at home, and when you're bench pressing, always be careful, always use safety racks, always have a spotter, even for weight that you think you can handle, because anything can happen.
So we just completed our first attempt rotation as Millican connected at 92.5 kilos.
Sierra Bernard. Second attempts. This is the first lifter for the second attempts.
As we'll go 3 rotations on the attempts for the ladies, and then we'll bring on the guys here in this bench press discipline. Here are the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals from Orlando, Florida. A sunny and very warm Orlando, Florida.
Oh,
It's Bernard.
warm, you ain't kidding.
3
This
white
place
lights
is hot
there.
as hell.
It is definitely Florida hot. There's no question about it. As you're in the middle of October, and I mean, I guess that's one respite that most of us can expect when we get to Spokane, Washington. We certainly won't be anticipating temperatures in the upper 80s nearing 90 in Spokane, Washington in the middle of October.
No, it was 91 the other day when I was coming into town, and it was hot.
Yes, it is.
I don't know what these people did before air conditioning.
Probably toweled off often. As Christina Lazo connected at 72.5, her first.
She doesn't have much of a distance to travel because of her high arch. So when the athletes have a high arch, they think that people might think that it might be an unfair advantage. But that's not necessarily so, because what you gain in an arch and you shorten your stroke as a result, you lose in stability. So it's much harder to keep it all under control when you have a higher arch.
Lazo was able to connect at 75 kilos on her second lift.
You look at one of the best bench press, well, the best bench presser in the world, Jennifer Thompson. I mean, female. Anyway, she really doesn't have an arch, and I don't have an arch either, or barely one. I try, but it pales in comparison to just looking at what some of these girls can do. She's bringing it down slow.
Dicy Ann Saylor.
So I would recommend Dicy Ann to work on her bar speed. The faster you can bring that bar down, the more kinetic energy can build up, and the faster you can push it up.
She gets 3 white lights there, so she connects at 75. As that will bring on Elizabeth Picardi. And one of the things, and I certainly, in my year of broadcasting powerlifting this year, Botsy Bailey is actually handling the handoffs there in front of Elizabeth Picardi right now. Whoever is handling the handoff, as these events become more television friendly, Botsy's got a very difficult job, because once he gets the handoff, he gets out of the way for the camera so we can have a clear shot. But at the first sign of trouble, he not only has to be there, he has to be there quickly, which means he has to be incredibly mobile in getting to the bar.
Ooh. Well, she just missed that, and that's going to be hard for her to follow that, because she missed it, in my opinion, on strength. So she's going to have to change something. The important thing is when you miss a lift and you miss it on strength for that reason, she didn't miss it on technique. She missed it on strength. She has to change something. If she doesn't change something, if she doesn't get more intense for the lift, raise her blood pressure, maybe even change her grip a little bit, something's got to change, because otherwise she's just going to follow and have the same result.
As Bonnie Schroeder will be making an attempt of 80 kilos. And I would imagine, in looking at this from even the mental side, when that occurs, you also have to sort of reset the memory banks, if you will, try to clear the head, and then try to re-engage the lift. I would imagine it changes more than just the physical aspects.
She got that nicely. Bonnie's got a little bit more in the tank. I'd say maybe another 2.5 to 5 kilos.
So she's on at 80 with her second attempt. That'll bring up Melissa Barber out of the state of Maryland.
Melissa Barber, 29. She's going for 176.4 pounds, 80 kilos.
Well, just a moment ago, Dennis, you got to try the SSP shake. Your final verdict.
Well, it was delicious. It was made with our lean muscle meal, and we threw a little banana and peanut butter and ice in there, and it's as good as it gets. So sometimes I have it before bed. Sometimes I have it as an afternoon snack. It's a fantastic formula that ties off our pre and the post. It goes nicely with those. I don't want to speak too much because it's my company. It's a little unfair here that I'm announcing.
Well,
so
I kind of set you up because one of our sponsors, of course, is Scientific Sports Products, a proud sponsor of the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. SSP, the brand for drug-free athletes. Find out more at sspnutrition.com. That's sspnutrition.com, a website that I'm sure you're very, very familiar with.
Yes, and we also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page.
And that's why I do the read and let you elaborate.
There you go.
You'll be sure to hit the social medias.
Not to mention about the, we're talking about the head spot, the lift off, how he's got to jump out of the way and have cat-like reflexes to jump back in the event of a problem. But the world gets to see him from the back, so he's got to have his shirt tucked in right. Everything's got to look good from the back, otherwise people like me are going to draw attention to it.
It's Peracchi.
I got you to laugh
three
again.
white lights there. Well, you're right, because, like, for instance, somebody would want me spotting in a situation like that. That's bad for everybody involved.
No one wants to see that.
That's bad for ratings.
Yeah. Gives a whole new meaning to the word cracker.
Miranda Chambers on for her second attempt.
All right.
Connected at 80.
Miranda, 85 kilos, 187.4 pounds.
Connected at 80 or earlier.
17 years old, right?
17-year-old out of the Keystone
Okay,
State.
she brought the weight very high on her chest. So the higher that the bar hits on your chest, the more shoulders you're going to be putting into the lift, and the less chest that you're going to use, the less pectoral muscles you're going to use. And the chest and pectoral muscles are a lot stronger than your shoulders. So in my humble opinion, I would think that she would be better at trying to bring that bar a little bit lower so she can incorporate more of her chest and her lats and back muscle into the lift. She's more muscling it up with shoulders, which is difficult.
Is that something that you typically see out of younger lifters?
It's something that I typically see out of more gym lifters, where they're just bring the bar down, touch your chest, and muscle it up, and they're not thinking anything about technique, about incorporating your lats and arching a little bit and flexing your thighs and flexing your butt, flexing your shoulder blades, kind of tucking your elbows in to bring the bar lower on your chest, as opposed to just coming straight up, straight down. Now, what I'm saying isn't gospel, because everybody's body mechanics are different. So what works for me might not work for somebody else. But a lifter should experiment with different places on the chest of where to touch that bar to find their sweet spot on where the bar should touch, and they'll have where their maximum lift could be. And it's not necessarily at the middle or in the upper portion of their chest. In my opinion, it's probably the middle to lower portion.
Jennifer Millican making her second attempt, 97.5. Just prior to that, Shay Edwards connected at 92.5.
Ooh, that is called a grind, and she got it. Yeah. I think that if the air conditioner was on and drafting onto the bar, she might have missed that lift.
If the wind's in her favor, she probably gets a little bit of a lift there.
But good for her, she got it. That was her second attempt. She's going to be hard-pressed to get anything more than that, but I'm going to presume her coach is going to put her up 2.5 kilos, which is the minimum. All right, Elizabeth Picardi with the colorful hair.
And what Millican is doing, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Dennis, is she's now at 97.5. Her personal best in the bench is 100. So that 2.5 kilo increment would take her to a tie for her personal best, which could be what it is that she's intending on going after here.
Right, and believe it or not, 2.5 kilos doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a little bit more than 5 pounds. And when you only weigh 57 kilos, it's a lot. It's proportionately a lot.
Well, I mean, just the simplistic math, if you're at 57 kilos and you go up 2.5 kilos on a lift, that's basically 5% of your body weight.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's, you're right. If you think about the number in and of itself, it lacks a lot of its meaning. But when you think 5% of a person's body weight, that's substantial.
Well, I'll tell you, and if you use that same percentage, 5%, let's say your max is 500, 5% is 25 pounds. There's a big difference between a 475-pound lifter and a 500-pound lifter.
A definitive
at the World Championships, that's first and fifth place. It's not even first and second.
Christina Lazo, 3 white lights at 77.5. So she gets 3 good lifts there. So that'll bring on Dicy Ann Saylor. And I think that's the thing about it. It's the farther you go up in the levels of competition, the margin for error becomes more and more razor thin.
Absolutely.
In your personal competition against the bar, and then the competition against every other lifter in the venue. Saylor will be making an attempt of 77.5. She connected at 72.5 and 75.
You touched on something. Well, here comes the dice lady, but you touched on something about personal, and powerlifting is a personal sport, which it's great because it's like you against the bar. Yep, she missed that. It's you against the bar, and you are your own competitor, all up until the point where you get on a team. And when you're on a team, whether it's at a regional level or a world level, it's more about the team than what you're going to do. So even if it's not about your personal best for that lift, it's about doing the best that you can for the team. So if your coach wants you to hold back a little bit, play a little bit conservative to ensure that medal, because if that medal is going to make a difference at the team, at the team placing, you might be a little upset. Oh, but I know I can get more. I want to get, I want to get the world record. But it's more important to get the lift for the team than it is for your own personal goals when you're on a team's, when you're representing a team in the sport of powerlifting.
Sierra Bernard on her 3rd attempt was not able to connect there, so she'll take 72.5 kilos off the bench with her into the deadlift.
Right, we're going to start to see some misses now because people are going to, they're going for it here on the 3rd attempt.
Melissa Barber has a qualifying score right now of 75 kilos. She missed it 80 just a moment ago. She'll try to make amends for it here on this final offering.
I mean, I don't want to be the voice of gloom, but it's going to be hard for her to get this. Like I said earlier, once you miss, especially probably more so on the bench than any other, it's hard to come back unless you change something, which most athletes aren't prepared for. It's hard to come back from a miss. She's bringing that bar very slow. That's it. No surprise, but good effort.
So Barber will take 75 with her into the deadlift.
If she looks back at the instant replay of this video and listens to us announcing, I'll give her a little advice, and that's to work on her bar speed on her way down. Because the faster she can bring that bar down. I want that guy to give me a little massage like that. Can we get him over here?
I don't know if he hit me like that. I might need I might need a police officer.
Except for the last whack on the back of the neck, but in the beginning with the the leg slap, I like that. It's a long day for me here.
Bonnie Schroeder connecting at 75 and 80.
Okay, she's getting set, taking her time. 30 seconds left.
That's one thing I've noticed in growing up, Dennis, is that one man's encouragement is another man's beatdown.
Right. You see, she touched the bar lower on her chest. You notice that? And that's what helped her get the speed off of her chest from the beginning, and that speed took her through the lift.
But to that end, what you're saying is she basically was engaging more muscle groups into the lift and thus maximizing her overall output.
Brian, can I ask, are you a power lifter? It's amazing.
No,
I mean,
sir.
you're picking up on you got some knowledge. You're very intuitive. You actually heard what I said and put it in even more eloquent words.
Well, I'm not bad at turning a phrase, and I've got some good friends that are in powerlifting, and it has been a real crash course in this year.
Well,
so
hats off to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Ms. Peracchi will be making her third attempt. 85 kilos, connecting at 75 and 80.
No, she's done. She bumped her butt off. That butt's got to stay on it. That's a bad habit. Lifting, you see, in training, you got to make sure that your butt's never coming up. Even when you're struggling, that butt's got to stay down. So she can practice on those. Okay, here we go. Here's Miranda, 17-year-old, getting some final words from her coach, who claims to be alive and well and not dead yet. That's what he told me in the back.
That might be the line of the night.
Right. I said, go, congratulations. All right.
Chambers.
She's had, what, 80, 85, and now she's going. This is a big jump. This is 92.5 kilos. She's jumping 7.5 kilos. That's a big jump.
Well, to give you some context, her personal best.
No. She touched the bar high on her chest.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that because you talked about in the previous lift how she holds it a little higher, engaging the shoulders. When you hold it up as high as she does, perhaps, do you have the tendency, because of the butt wanting to lift, do you eliminate more of the possibility of the butt coming off the platform or off the bench itself if you are holding that bar a little lower and incorporating more of the chest?
That's very interesting that you say that, and the answer is yes, because you're engaging your legs and your butt and your leverage and your lats and your lower chest, which is the strongest part of your chest, much more, and you don't need to compensate by lifting the butt.
Shay Edwards with her lift.
Yeah, and she had a little left in the tank.
95 kilos on that third offering. She gets 3 white lights, so she'll take 95 kilos with her.
Okay, Jennifer Millican is up. 100 kilos. We're breaking the triple-digit barrier. 100 kilos. This is 2.5 kilos higher than her last lift.
This would equal her personal best.
And if I'm not mistaken, she barely got her last lift. So this is going to be very close.
She did have to work a little bit on that second offering. But now you're starting to deal with some emotion, a little bit of adrenaline going. She wants this. The crowd wants it.
Gino wants it. See how low? Back. Bring it back. Towards the bar. There it is.
That's a very solid effort. We'll see what the judges think. 2 out of 3 white lights.
Her technique was flawless. You see, she brought the bar low and she started to bring it up. Not just up, but up and back. When I say back, I mean back towards the uprights. So you might touch the bar at the lower part of your chest, actually the upper part of your rib cage, but you're going to end the lift almost above your neck. And depending on body mechanics, it's a different area for everybody. So what I'm saying is not definitively gospel, but she had a perfect arch on her way back up with the bar. It wasn't a straight up, straight down. So she was coming up, and as she was struggling, she was moving the bar back a little bit, and up at the same time, and she finished and was able to lock out.
But from the point to where you do touch it with your chest to the point where you take it to the uprights, you want that to be a line. You want it to be linear, because any swaying or any arcing elongates the lift and
Correct.
Makes it that much harder on you.
It's like a diagonal line. So
sure.
I explained, Kevin makes this weight look easy.
Kevin Nguyen at 125 as they jump right into the men's
So I give people the example on the leg press. Where can you press more, straight up, straight down, or on the angled leg press? And it's always the angle, because that can generate more speed and velocity, resulting in more power. So it's the speed that's going to get that weight up. Explosiveness off the chest with speed, and that speed is going to take you through the lift. No speed, no power, because all the strength in the world is not going to get you there.
LJ Abner at 127.5 kilos will be his opener here in the bench press segment. Welcoming you. For those of you just tuning in, this is the 10th annual USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals out of the Continental Ballroom at the Hyatt Orlando International Airport.
Little stutter on the way up from Lawrence, but he was able to lock it out. I would attribute that a little bit more to first lift jitters than anything else. I think he's going to be fine. He'll go up 2.5 or 5 kilos for his next attempt.
So he's on at 127.5 as RJ Hizon will come on with an opening attempt at 140.
Yeah, it's 308. 308.6. I always round up to the next highest pound, so let's call it 309. Sometimes I make a lift and people say, oh, you got whatever, 0.6. I'm like, no. I got 514, not 513. We round up in my book.
When you get to the numbers that high, you're entitled to do whatever you like.
None of this 0.6 crap.
Silly decimals.
140
Hizon.
Same weight at 140. See how low he was on his chest? See how easy that weight is? No problem. Good technique.
A technically sound lift. 3 white lights. Hizon is on at 140 kilos. Want to thank bodybuilding.com. Bodybuilding.com is happy to be a part of the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. We're happy to have them as the official broadcast home for this week's event. Find us online at www.bodybuilding.com.
Josiah Vivero. He's calm, cool, and collective, giving some instructions. Everybody's got a different lift-off, so that lift-off, the person giving the lift-off has got to know, like, one person might do 1, 2, 3, one person might blink, one person might take a deep breath. So there's different instructions that each lifter gives the lift-off guy.
And I'll bring this example up after the lift from Vivero at 142.5. 3 white lights there. As the exchange with the handoff guy, the spotters, and the lifter itself, I would imagine is very similar to the relationship that a quarterback has with his center in football.
Oh, yeah. That's a very good analogy.
David Cauchon will come on at 145 with his.
Although the lifter's not putting his hands in between the legs of the head spotter, otherwise we're gonna have some problems.
That would make the bench press really awkward.
Yeah, that's one red light right there.
Cauchon took 222.5 out of the squats. It's his first attempt here.
145. Yep. Let's call it 320 pounds, 319.7. Nice and low on the chest. Nice and perfect. See that technique? Perfect.
Very solid effort for Cauchon. Virtually textbook. Here with Dennis Cherry, a man that would know a little bit about the bench press, here with us in Orlando for this Wednesday primetime edition. So glad that you could join us.
Yeah, I've been competing in the bench press since I was 18, so what's that? Almost 31 years competing.
As the varying disciplines of powerlifting have made the event what it is, I'll ask you this after Lapointe's effort here, but I want to kind of harken back on what 3+ decades of lifting have been like for you and sort of what it is that you've seen from the time that you started to the point where you are now. As Lapointe at 145 will make his opening salvo.
You know, he had a little movement on the pause, but he got the press command anyway. You got to be careful. You bring that weight down, it's got to be motionless. Can't be bouncing around. Well, to answer your question, in 3 decades of competing, I've seen a lot of changes. You know, we used to have competitions in New Jersey in like the back of a warehouse where there was like 20 guys, and we were wearing these Inzer Blast shirts. I didn't even know what one was until the day of the competition, but the competition, the sport has evolved so much since then. So many more lifters, so much more. You know, the shirt evolved over time, and it was all about the equipped lifting. And
Theo connecting at 150.
Yep. Oh yeah, no problem there. But it was only only until that the raw lifting came around that the ranks started to swell with new young lifters, because the equipment is expensive, it's difficult to use, it's difficult to train in, you need a lot of training partners, and the equipment is so advanced now, the weights that you need to train with are getting more and more dangerous, and lifters are becoming more and more prone to injury as a result. I'm not knocking equipped lifting, because I have been an equipped lifter for many, many years, but personally I just prefer raw. And I'm glad that it's here and at such a overwhelming level with the numbers of lifters and the competition that's out there now. I used to have to go to raw competitions all over the country just to find people to compete against, even in non-drug tested federations, just to see what I had, see what I can do.
So the lift there for David Shelton connects at 160.
And yes, I won all of them. Even those guys didn't beat me. I'll be beat one day. I just don't know when. Hopefully it's going to be LS. He's on me. He's breathing on my neck.
So what? 31 years still undefeated, huh?
It's 31 years undefeated in the bench press, and I don't know. We'll see. Going to be 49 next month, so I'm at the twilight, I think. Getting a little long in the tooth, if you know what I mean. But
it's Blake Lehew will be engaging in his first lift at 165 kilos. And I would imagine that, the sport lends itself in such a way, and each of the disciplines lend themselves in such a way to where you can compete at varying masters levels, junior levels, things like that. So it does create a broad swath of opportunities for people to lift. But for you, even in your own personal lifting history, you've seen your body change through the times, and you've had to make adjustments along the way. What sort of advice would you lend to some of these younger guys, like, for instance, a Blake Lehew at 22 years old, that would help him when he gets to be some 25, 30 years later, still bench pressing?
Well, okay, hold on. We're just nice and controlled for Stephen Lehew.
165 he'll get.
Okay.
2 white lights, so
it's an interesting question, and I can answer it from a bench presser's perspective, obviously, so I'll stick to that. Let's just start with, I wish I knew then what I know now, but I guess many older people say that.
That is universal for anything in life.
Youth is wasted on the young. But I was always conscientious of nutrition, but we just didn't know. The technology wasn't there to understand the importance of it and the timing aspect of it, and how to focus on the importance of a pre-workout nutrition and then an immediate post-workout nutrition. When I was working out in the younger years, I'd have maybe a cup of coffee before I train, and it would help a little bit, but I wish I had like the knowledge of branched chain amino acids and things like that, and about, how to create like an insulin spike at the end of your workout and follow it up with a very digestible, quickly digestible protein like a whey protein or hydrolyzed whey protein. So I think I could have maybe had faster recoveries and perhaps even had better results if I had a better nutrition when I was younger, like I do today. Secondly, 2.5 times his body weight for Taylor Atwood. I'm sorry.
At 180 there.
That's a big opener.
It most certainly is.
This dude didn't come to fool around.
He's been impressive.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a serious bench presser in the room. But if I could say something else, it would be avoid injuries. And what I mean by that is don't overtrain, don't go heavy all the time, watch your shoulders. And one of the biggest things that's helped my shoulders was when I was younger, I was benching a little higher on my chest and using more shoulders in the lift. And it was only when I started to tuck my shoulders in and bring the bar lower and use more of my body in the lift that I was not only stronger as a result, but I was saving my shoulders and allowing me to have this uncharacteristically long longevity that I'm enjoying in the sport. Not to say that I don't have my share of injuries or pain, but I'm still competing at this world level, and I attribute that towards avoiding as many injuries as possible.
LJ Abner on his initial lift at 132.5 connects on his opener. As we'll have Kevin Nguyen coming on.
Well, no, these are second attempts.
Or I should say second attempts. Yep. My apologies.
That's right. Brian, that's what I'm here for.
Need somebody to keep me straight.
That's it. Okay. Kevin. Makes it look easy.
Connecting at 125. Gets 3 white lights at 132.5. So he's building on his number as he heads toward his third attempt.
The bench press is extremely important in powerlifting too, because it's going to keep you in the game. You can't ignore the bench press because it's going to obviously the numbers in squat and the numbers in deadlift are proportionately higher, so the bench press doesn't matter as much. But if you fall behind on the bench press, it's going to put you in a compromising position in the overall rankings, so that when you go to the deadlift, you're going to be that much more challenged. So the best thing to do for a powerlifter in the bench press is be respectable. In other words, have a respectable lift. You don't have to be a bench press champion because the extra 10 or 20 pounds on the bench press is not going to make as much of a difference proportionately as it would on the squat or say 5% more on the bench press is not going to make as much of a difference as 5% more on the squat or 5% more on the deadlift.
RJ Hizon connects on his second opportunity as he is at 147.5.
Hi, how are you?
I mean, Dennis, at the end of the day, when you're at a 3-discipline competition like the powerlifting here, I guess it can be said you're not going to win it with the bench press, but you sure could lose it.
That's exactly what I'm saying in different words. There you go again.
Josiah Vivero on his second attempt at 150.
330.7. Let's call it 331.
Yes, we will. Vivero.
And look at this. Easy weight. He's got another, if I'm coaching him, I'm going to pop him up 7.5 kilos.
Okay. So he's already at 152, or I should say 150 is Vivero. So from your perspective, you'd take him to 157.5.
Yep.
If I'm understanding you right, as David Cauchon will step up. Be interested to see, and I mean, I think what we will see in that third attempt is just how he feels about his ability to bench press and where he stands in relation to what's coming up in the deadlift.
Right. I mean, if he's going to go conservative, he'll go 5 kilos. But if he's going to push it, if he thinks that it's going to matter, then he should go another 2.5 kilos on top of that. Okay, David Cauchon.
145 was his first. He connected there. Now at 152.5.
There's a 7.5 kilo jump. That's a good 18 pounds. Nice and low on his chest. Back, back, back. There he goes. Nice technique. Just like his first lift.
3 white lights, so he's on at 152.5. So the young man from Connecticut putting together a good bench press segment here.
Eric Lapointe, the 24-year-old from New Hampshire. He should come out with his headphones and the mouthpiece. There he is.
And to give you some context, going back to Cauchon, his previous bench best was at 150, so he's already surpassed that number.
Wow.
So something to hang his hat on there, as he's already 2.5 kilos over his previous personal
and
best.
you see that, with the younger guys, they just keep on getting better. So what they might have done in one competition 6 months ago, or even perhaps a year ago, they're going to come back on stage this year and have tremendous growth.
It's amazing how quickly these kids can evolve at such a young age with just a little training and a little work.
Eric Lapointe. And he's got some more in the tank, too. He's got another 5 kilos, maybe 7.5.
That looked really efficient.
Yeah.
152.5. He's in.
We've seen some solid second attempts. We haven't seen one missed lift yet in this flight.
It's been a very clean event. We haven't seen very many misses, period, in this competition through almost 2 full disciplines now.
Yeah. And that's nice. That's another good thing about raw powerlifting is that there's less and less failures, at least on the first and second attempts. And in the equipped lifting, you see a lot of people maybe even bomb out. It's hit or miss.
Fortunately, have not seen that today from the morning session.
No wrist wraps from Myo. And that's difficult. Oh, you see, we got a close look of the bar on his chest, and maybe I missaw it, but it almost looked like he beat the press command, that the bar wasn't touching his chest when the press command hit. But I might be mistaken. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, we got 3 white lights there, so apparently he was able to heed the command.
Pull up the instant replay. Come on, what kind of operation is this? Where's the instant replay?
I'm running over it in my mind, and in my mind I'm seeing that he did, in fact, get it at the right time. After further review, the call stands. We'll keep the lift as it is.
I'll go with you and the judges. Okay, here's David. He's 24. He's going up 7.5 kilos.
Shelton seems to be working with a very pronounced arc.
From Texas. A lot of strong lifters in Texas. Is that because it's such a big state, or that's because there's a lot of lifting there? The Texas, what is it, the high school or the high school state championships is like enormous. It draws over 1,000 lifters. So, it's a very well-organized sport in Texas.
And I think somebody that would know a little something about collegiate lifting, I think the Collegiate Nationals will be coming up in just a matter of months in 2018. I think it's being held at Texas A&M this upcoming year.
Oh, yeah?
So, not a bad place to have a collegiate event. I've heard some amazing things about that event coming up at Texas A&M.
Okay, here's Steven.
Pretty sure I heard someone over here to my left say go Aggies, but maybe that's just me.
He's got a relatively narrow grip. You see, you're allowed to put your index finger on that ring. Okay, oh, here he goes. All right, he's putting his ring finger or his middle finger on that ring. So, okay, I take it back. He's just getting set up. He takes his time. What does he have there? I can't see
15 seconds
Yeah,
is what he's got right now. Blake Lehew, actually,
10 seconds.
At Texas A&M.
5 seconds.
You better work quick.
Strong.
3 white lights for Lehew, so he's on.
375 pounds.
And that'll bring up Taylor Atwood.
Taylor is now, he's going to 413 pounds. So he is, what, 20, 30 pounds above the last lift, the last closest lifter. So in his instance, his impressive bench press on top of his impressive squat is going to put him way in the lead. And my guess is that his deadlift is not going to be as good. I'm just guessing because I don't know him. But his chance to win this is going to be if he can do great in the squat and great in the bench and do respectable in the deadlift. That'll get him the gold.
Well, he has been a superstar tonight, and at 187.5.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but his hair didn't move yet. So, I mean, he's really, this is his 6th attempt so far, and his hair is still in perfect condition.
He may be looking for a hair sponsorship out of this event coming up. I don't know if you're like me, you're just looking for hair, but
right.
A hair sponsorship could be in the offing for young Taylor Atwood.
Nice and low on the chest. See? Perfect. Perfect. It's like
and he gives the bar a scowl as if, what are you doing? You're no match for me tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, he had more in the tank. He had another 5, maybe 7.5 kilos in him.
So we've completed 2 attempted rotations as we'll go to the 3rd. As Taylor Atwood has been incredibly impressive here in this 10th annual USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals, coming from the Continental Ballroom.
The guy weighs 165 pounds. He just bench pressed, what was that, 435? He's coming after me. Well, okay, by the time he catches me, I'll be retired, so it doesn't matter. He can get me. Hey, listen, you know what? I got to tell you something. And that's another thing about this sport. The person that beats me, or whatever I see people break other people's world record, like, I'd be the first person to shake their hand, you know, God, because I know what it takes. I know what they must have gone through to get to that level, to get a world record or beat who at that point might have been the best. So I'm hoping it's LS. I'm waiting for him.
Well, and I'm not privy to what goes on behind the wall. That's not a place where I live when broadcasting, so I know that it can't be a perfect world, but it really seems like that there's very little animus from one lifter to the next.
Right.
As Kevin Nguyen with his 3rd attempt at 137.5.
Yeah, I mean, naturally there's competitiveness, but there's not jealousy. There's not, you know, because you respect that lifter. That lifter, he or she demands respect, deserves respect, earned that respect. Regardless of what you might think about them, you know, on a different level. Maybe they don't follow the same politics as you, or maybe they don't, you know, live the same lifestyle as you, or you don't agree with some of the other things that they're saying. But you're going to damn well respect that person on the platform and in the warm-up room because they earned it and they deserve it.
So RJ Hizon with his 3rd attempt at 152.5 has connected at 140 and 147.5. Hizon, the 22-year-old out of Washington. 336.2 is what it's listed.
Oh, it's close on the lockout, and he gets it. I think he's got it. Yep. You know, and just talking about that respect, I talk about the gentleman that I named before, Ellis McLean. He was announcing before in the earlier session what an athlete that guy is. I mean, not only is he almost where I am at the bench, and he's basically there, but he's an elite level world champion in the squat and the deadlift. You know, in the full powerlifting. I mean, I can't imagine the work that goes on to be able to compete at that level in all 3 events, because I know what it takes just in the bench press. So I have tremendous respect for a guy like that.
Well, and at the end of the day, you guys all have a singular opponent anyway, and that's the bar. And you mentioned that earlier in the broadcast, and I think that's where a lot of the mutual respect can come from, that you guys are competing ultimately against yourselves in the bar.
Yeah. Okay, David Cauchon at 155 kilos for his last and final. He has great technique. So he went up just 2.5 kilos, and he might have had another 2.5 kilos in him as well.
3rd attempt, gets 3 white lights, so he's in at 155. So Cauchon will begin to set his sights now on the deadlift. So glad that you could join us this evening.
You know, speaking about setting your sights, when you're when you're down on that bench press and that liftoff guy is standing above you in a pair of shorts and he's right on top of you, you know, when you're looking at this at home, trust me, you're not focused on him, so it's not a distraction.
There's Eric Lapointe, 145, 152 and a half, making an attempt now of 157 and a half.
Oh, he's sinking the bar in a little bit. Ooh, good second effort. That's called a muscle up. He was just strong enough to get that weight.
So 3 white lights, he'll take 157 and a half with him.
He took advantage of sinking that bar a little bit in his chest and letting it work as almost like a spring to get that weight going off of his chest. Now that's good and bad in my opinion, but it seemed to work for him in that regard. It's bad if you rely on it because you're not focused on you're relying more on that spring than you are on being able to use more kinetic energy, and there's limitations to it, but for some people that works. Like I said, everybody's body mechanics are different, so what works for one person might not work for another.
Vivero.
You see how he just touches his chest with the weight. That was just a little too much for him.
Can't connect there.
He jumped up 7.5 kilos.
He did indeed.
That was a big jump.
He'll take a 150 into the deadlift with him. And I think that from the very limited experience that I've had in this past year broadcasting is it's what a lot of the lifters can do in the middle of their lift that makes the difference between getting the necessary white lights and completing the lifts properly, and those that just can't seem to do that. Is that second effort or that little tweak or something that they're doing mid-lift that makes the difference between getting the white lights and not.
It's once you're committed to the lift, the only thing that you can do is change the bar path. So instead of pressing straight up, is to press the bar up and back a little bit. Like I've seen people bench and kind of get stuck and stop, but if they can just start pushing it back a little bit, and they can get the bar going and going and going, and then they can complete the lift. That's probably the only thing that you're going to be able to do in the middle, you know, once you've committed to the lift, once you started the lift.
Thiha could not connect on his lift, an attempt at 160, so he'll take 157 and a half with him. David Shelton will now be making an attempt at 170 kilos. As he has, if I'm looking at this right, already connected at 167 and a half.
Yeah, so he's bumping up 2.5 kilos. 24-year-old out of Texas.
Basically 375 pounds.
Yeah.
To be this attempt.
You know, his body type, he looks like a great deadlifter. So guys with long arms, they have difficulty benching because they have such a long way to go.
Shelton waits on the signal. Now engages the lift.
Nice. He had another 2.5 kilos in him as well.
So he gets 3 white lights at 170, and now he'll begin to set his sights on the deadlift, where, from your perspective, he could be a real player in this one if he is as good in the deadlift as appearances might show.
Right. Now, these are the last 3 lifters of the flight, and we are going right up to 385 pounds with Stephen Lehew. He struggled on the squats, if you remember, but he got his first 2 lifts, and he's jumping up 5 kilos here from his last, from 170 to 175, or 385.8 pounds. Let's call it 386.
Lehew performing in the men's Raw Open as well as the men's Raw Juniors.
22 years old. Wow, I would have thought he was older with a beard like that. It took me until I was like 38 to grow a beard.
I've still yet to develop anything that resembles that. And it's not going to happen. Lehew at 175, his attempt.
He got it, he got it. He's got to lock it, he's got to lock it. That's all in a lockout right there.
See what the judges think.
Oh, I think he came down on his right side a little bit. Once that bar comes down, as you mentioned before in the squats, that's it. Bar's got to travel up or stay motionless. It cannot move down in any fashion.
That'll bring up Taylor Atwood.
Okay. This is the bench press monster over here.
He is going to make an attempt at 192.
His coach is screaming in his ear. Look at his coach. His coach looks like he's ready to chew on a tire or something. Look at this guy.
2.5 kilos over the open American record. The bar is loaded. This is an open American record.
Open American record. 424 pounds, 192 kilos, 192.5 kilos.
The 29-year-old out of the Empire State.
Here he
Gino's
is.
amped. He's getting the crowd into it. The phones come out.
Wow, this guy should have been at Bench Nationals, I think. That was just last month. He probably didn't want to ruin any mojo for this event.
Already with a 187.5. It's 2 for 2 in lifts in this bench press segment.
Nice and low on his chest. No problem.
Did we doubt it? 192.5 and 3 white lights.
That was a fantastic, look at him.
And he hops
Nice.
up on the bench.
Screaming in victory. Now, Brian, if you recall what I was saying, there is everything that I was just talking about put in motion. About how tight he was, about how low on his press. That's the difference between a good lifter, a great lifter, and an elite lifter. He is an elite lifter. He is one of the best of the best. And that's because of everything that he put together on that bench, which includes that kind of technique.
So he is, I mean, and certainly from a novice perspective, he seems to have all the tools. He seems to have the natural body strength, the natural talent, the chops for being a good lifter. But it seems like that he is about as close to flawless tactically as you can possibly be for a 29-year-old especially.
Right. Now the only difference between him and me basically is age, and I have a much better personality. And I'm, of course. But but all kidding aside, he's got a bright future, and that kid, and I call him a kid without disrespect. I'm just an older guy, so I'm allowed to do that. But that guy's got a long way to go and grow in this sport, in the bench press at least. And judging by his squat, he wasn't no slouch there either.
The coming out party for Taylor Atwood as he had put on quite a show here in the bench press. So
I'm gonna mess up his hair later. I got to do something. I gotta.
Well, we'll have to make sure we've got the cameras waiting when that happens. Dennis, we're through 2 disciplines now. We're just making our preparations for the deadlift. What were some of your initial thoughts from the bench press this evening? I know that Atwood made a big impression on you. Overall, what were some of your thoughts?
Well, I see that, like I said, these are respectable lifters. I didn't see anybody with a poor performance or a bad. I saw a couple of mistakes because, I'm arguably an expert, but all in all, I've seen very good technique. I've seen excellent technique on some, and I've seen flawless technique on Atwood and a couple of others. But everybody has a respectable bench press, and that's because this is the national championships. So no one's going to have a great squat and a horrible or mediocre bench or a very good deadlift. They have to have a respectable bench, and that's what I've seen: respectable and great benching tonight. I didn't see any poor benching.
Well, as we've completed 2 disciplines here at the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals, that segment of bench pressing was brought to you this evening by Sling Shot. Find out more at www.howmuchyoubench.net. That's www.howmuchyoubench.net, as they are part of the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals this evening. Dennis, as you begin to set your sights on watching these men and women participate in the deadlift, what are some of the early keys that you're going to be looking for out of their opening attempts that might give you some indication as to just how much potential they would have in putting together some really high numbers?
Well, we're going to see in this, we're talking about the deadlift now?
We're talking about the deadlift.
Okay, so we're going to see people come out, and they're right now everybody's got their coaches have their calculators out. They're looking at semi totals at the moment. Guessing looking at the openers for all of their competitors, and they're determining what they're going to need, what place they're going for. If they're going for first place, if they're just going for a medal, if they're just going for a PR because they don't feel that they're in contention. But whatever it is, they're all calculating now, and they're figuring out what they got to do to go out there on that deadlift platform. So we're going to see people coming out, in my opinion, not conservative. They got to come out here and start putting up some numbers, and not take a token, quote unquote, token deadlift. It can't be easy. They should be coming. That deadlift, in my opinion, needs to be more like a second attempt on the squat and the deadlift. It's got to be a real attempt, because it's going to come down to that last lift. We're going to see some real competition here.
Miranda Chambers will get things started on the women's flight here in the Wednesday night primetime segment. So glad that you've been able to join us this evening.
Brian, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure thing.
You guys gave me a lot of water. I drink an SSP smoothie. Can I excuse myself for a minute? I gotta use the men's room. Sorry.
I'll tell you what, it's a fantastic opportunity. I'll go ahead and hold the fort down here, and may even exchange with you here in just a minute.
Try to keep everybody engaged. Try to keep everybody excited, and I'll be right back.
That sounds good.
All right, hold on.
As Dennis Cherry departs, we'll prepare for the third discipline of this evening's USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals here in the Continental Ballroom of the Hyatt Orlando International Airport. So glad that you could join us. Of course, Dennis Cherry, who stepped away for just a moment, is here with me bringing some fantastic analysis, as I've had some great color analysts working with me here already this week. As Heather Connor worked with me last night in the Tuesday night primetime segment. David Garcia worked with me in the morning segment here. And then, of course, having Dennis Cherry here this evening, as it will continue to grow and grow as we get to tomorrow night. As my final primetime segment will be tomorrow. As we'll be on the air tomorrow evening from the same location, and what promises to be a huge night of activity here at the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. Folks, don't forget, already on the docket next year is the 2018 11th Annual USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals, to be held in Spokane, Washington. An opportunity for you. Go ahead and start making your plans now as the event moves from the southeastern corner of the United States all the way up to the great Northwest. As there's probably every bit of 2,500 to 2,800 miles separating Orlando, Florida from Spokane, Washington. Miranda Chambers, the 17-year-old, will begin with the deadlift. Chambers at 142.5, connects 3 white lights, so she's on the board. And that'll bring up Christina Lazo. Lazo has a subtotal right now, as I can see it. I want to say 207.5 is what I think I see on the board. She'll be making an attempt at 145 as they're setting the platform for Lazo.
Christina Lazo, on deck, Elizabeth in the whole Sierra.
out of the sumo position. Lazo. Looked like we had a grip issue there. She'll miss on her initial lift. That'll bring up Elizabeth Picardi. As we're 2 deadlifts in, as Miranda Chambers connected at 142.5. Lazo just a moment ago at 145 misses. Now Picardi with her first attempt, the 26-year-old out of California.
Okay, so here I am. I'm back. Thank you for letting me have that break. I'll stop drinking water. And like I said, they're going right for it. You know, they're not taking easy lifts here.
And Picardi gets 3 white lights on her initial effort, so she's on the board at 145 here in the deadlift segment. So we'll have these ladies. Let's see, I want to make sure I've got my number right. That's the 4th lift, or we're getting ready to see the 4th lift. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lifters in the women's flight.
Okay, Sierra Bernard is up with 336.2 pounds. This is the jiu-jitsu master.
A purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
With the rainbow socks. A little uneven, but no problem.
So 3 white lights there. She connects at 152.5.
That's about how much I can deadlift.
I would think you're probably pulling my leg there a little bit. You can probably lift a good bit better than that number.
Not much.
But Sierra Bernard, her first lift. Dicy Ann Saylor will come on.
She's just pacing back and forth. She's like getting ready to go, confident, nodding. You know, you have to have confidence as a lifter. You have to know that you're going to get the weight. You got to realize that it's going to happen. You can't have any doubts. It's all about a mindset. You be successful in your mind first, and then you act accordingly, and it becomes real. Some people call that visualization.
Saylor, 3 white lights, so she's in at 155.
Bonnie Schroeder from Iowa. She's had a pretty good day so far.
Bonnie Schroeder, 29 years old from Iowa.
She'll be starting at 157.5 according to the numbers that I have. And I'll try to get that confirmed. Her best deadlift was at 172.5. I'll have to confirm that for you here in just a bit.
Now again, you see the different styles. She's more of a conventional deadlifter as opposed to the sumo style where they have the wider foot stance with the grip in between the legs. You didn't think I knew so much about deadlifting, did you?
I figured that with the time that you've been around, you've probably grown up in the sport in some form or fashion, so you would probably lend a good bit of expertise on the topic.
You know, and you know what? Let me tell you, and that ties into something, because I've competed in national powerlifting championships before because I wanted to set American records. And I was allowed to because they, you know, you just had to take a token squat or deadlift, and then they made it what's called a legitimate attempt. Jessica Shay gets the lift, no problem, on her opener.
162.5.
So the rule was it had to be a legitimate attempt, meaning that, you know, you had to struggle or you just couldn't do in and do what's called a token. But now they have qualifying totals, where if you don't make the qualifying total, you're not even invited, you're not even qualified to come to the national championships. And yet they still have, like, what, 1,200 athletes here. So that just tells you that, you know, any athlete that's even arriving in Orlando to compete here is a respectable, serious athlete. Whether they win or even medal is is less relevant to the fact that just being on this platform is a true honor to these athletes.
Christina Peracchi, 3 white lights at 172.5.
Okay, from Tennessee, Jennifer Millican.
Millican has put together a pretty good evening of her own. She has had some very solid numbers.
Yeah, she's opening up with 385.
Woo! A 270 subtotal, 170 on the squat, 100 on the bench. And she's going to start here at 175. Out of the volunteer state, Tennessee.
I love Tennessee. Great Smoky Mountains.
A fantastic time of the year to be there.
Oh, yeah.
Just as the colors are beginning to take shape. Millican seemed to handle that with relative ease. She's on the board.
You know, these girls weigh 100. These girls weigh 126 pounds, and they're deadlifting almost 400. And in fact, Melissa Barber right now is opening up with 408, weighing 126, 127 pounds.
Gino mentions often that this is 3.5, 4 times the body weight of these ladies. I could never get away with that in a public setting. I'd probably get slapped, but Gino seems to pull it off.
No, correct. I don't think you should. You get in trouble.
Melissa Barber, 185 in her.
Now again, you see, she's the best deadlifter so far, but she was not excelling as the best in the squat amongst the flight. So again, either you're a great squatter or you're a great deadlifter. It's 2 different body types. Very rarely do you see anybody that can squat like a champion and deadlift like a champion. The best you can do is squat like a champion in one of those 2. And then, like we talked about earlier, it's going to come down to who can bench more.
Christina Lazo missed at 145 in her first attempt. She'll now try 145 again.
The only thing she's going to have to watch out for is making sure that bar doesn't hit her foot on the way down, her toe. No, little trouble. I don't know if she's going to get that white lights. What do you think?
She did hit her foot.
She did hit her foot. Oh, my God. I'm sorry I mentioned that.
So she misses on her second attempt at 145.
You know, look, I'm not a deadlift expert, but I can tell you that the shortest distance that you have to travel is optimal. And her hands seemed that they were a little bit too far apart, which caused her to have to come up further. Maybe she can narrow her grip a little bit so that she doesn't have to come up as far. Because I think that made a difference in that lift. But again, I'm not a specialist, and I'm certainly not an expert in the deadlift. Just saying.
Elizabeth Picardi connected on her first lift at 145, now at 152.5.
Now, she used a lot of back in that lift. So if I can comment on that, I think that she should have had her butt a little bit lower and used more of her lower body than more of a leaning over, leaning up with using the lower back. She was able to muscle it up, but she might want to work on her technique, and hopefully I'm not wrong.
Chambers remaking an attempt at 152.5. She connected at 142.5 earlier.
No. Just didn't have the right setup.
Sierra, then Dicy, then Bonnie.
For Melissa. Okay, Sierra Bernard is opening up his second attempt here at 162.5 kilos, which is 10 kilos over her opener. At, what does that say? 358.2. Okay, 358. I need binoculars over here. Why don't they just put us in as far away as possible from the screen?
They keep us here near the technical director and all the equipment so that we can see all the many angles here on this widescreen monitor that we have. It's Bernard. See what the judges think here at 162.5. 3 white lights.
No problem there. We got to talk to Robert Keller about putting us closer next time. But I got to tell you, Robert Keller is doing a fantastic job of running this meet. He's a great meet director. He's been running meets a long time, and he's gotten pretty damn good at it. And logistically, this is pretty difficult. We've got 3 platforms, over 1,000 lifters, 5 days. Whew. I don't know how he does it.
Dicy Ann Saylor.
Okay, Dicy.
An attempt of 165 here. People starting to pull their phones out, and they've been impressed by Saylor, and reasonably so.
363. Smooth. She's smooth in the deadlift. Okay.
Is he good?
3 white lights there.
There it is. Bonnie Schroeder coming up. 369.3 pounds, 167.5 kilos, which is a 10 kilo jump over her opener as well. 10 kilos is a lot of weight. What's that,
22 pounds at 10 kilos, yeah.
22.22 pounds. She's getting her right foot stance. She's got good technique, good form. Looks good to me.
3 white lights for Schroeder, so she's in at 167.5, 2 for 2.
According to Gino, that's a beautiful lift.
That'll bring up Shay Edwards, who connected at 162.5 earlier. Will now be making an attempt of 170.
7.5 kilo jump. Purple lifting belt. Purple shoes. Okay. Oh.
She cannot connect there, so she'll keep 162.5 with her final opportunity coming up.
Now again, the nuances in the sport. On the squat, they're wearing different shoes than on the deadlift, because on the deadlift, you don't want to have any heel, you don't want to have any elevation. You want to be as flat as possible. But on a squat, you might want to wear a shoe with an elevation that's legal in the USAPL up to a certain extent, because that's less of a distance that you have to travel. So it's a little bit of a strategic play to have a different footwear for the squat versus the deadlift. I'm probably saying something that every powerlifter in the world knows, but I just learned it because I'm only a bench presser, so I don't care.
Christina Peracchi at 177.5. Already on the board at 172.5.
A little shaky. Oh, moving. No.
Not going to be able to hang on to the bar.
Fatigue is setting in now, too, Brian. These girls are on their 8th attempt, and there's a lot that goes into it. You have to stay hydrated. You have to keep your electrolytes. It plays a big part in this. And if you don't have that nutrition in your body, you're going to be at a disadvantage come these last couple of attempts here. I'm not saying that's what caused that, but just generally speaking.
Jennifer Millican.
Relatively narrow foot stance, huh? Okay, it looks like she's getting ready to dive off a platform, but she's going to deadlift.
185 is this attempt.
Great technique. See how she got down nice and low with her butt and used her entire lower body to lift that up?
Jennifer Millican has been a boss tonight. She has been phenomenal.
Melissa Barber, 424.4 pounds for her second attempt.
She connected at 185 earlier. The crowd, you see them getting, well,
this is an
I
American
see them
record.
getting on
this
their
is
feet.
An open American record.
Can Melissa Barber pull it off?
She can.
She looks like she's got it. We'll wait on the white lights.
And she's got more in the tank. She's got more in the tank.
That's a phenomenal effort there from Barber. 185 is what was her previous lift. Now at 192.5.
All right. Do we know who's in the lead? Do you see subtotals anywhere or totals so far before third attempts?
Well, Barber was at 185. I think coming into the deadlift, a 192.5 there. Jennifer Millican was at 175 and is at 185 on the deadlift.
If Keller will bring me a pair of binoculars, maybe I can figure it out.
Is right now the
Okay, some last-minute strategizing and pep talk by her coach, Christina Lazo, coming up. Third attempt, 319.7 pounds, 145 kilos.
Lazo.
She had a little snafu on her opener where she did not get it, and she clipped her shoe. Doesn't look like it affected her, though. She's good.
So she gets to 145 on her final lift, overcoming a little bit of adversity in the deadlift, missing on her first 2 opportunities. She connects there on her 3rd opportunity.
Even if you hit your little pinky toe, you got 9 more good ones, so it's not so bad.
That would have been me clipping my toe in that lift. I probably would have been out for 3 weeks.
Oh, you'd go to the hospital.
Absolutely.
Then again, you're not a power lifter.
Absolutely.
With the heart of a lion.
Admittedly so. As Miranda Chambers could not connect at 152.5.
Tonight. She might be injured. You know, a lot of lifters say, you know what, I'll come back and fight another day.
In this flight, she's the only one competing at the Team 2 level. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything that I'm aware of, as there could be other Team 2s in other flights throughout the week.
But we are in prime time, so maybe her total was enough to put her where she wanted to be, and wasn't worth risking injury or
she definitely wanted to compete in the open. So.
Okay, Elizabeth Picardi tried to grind it up, but gravity took over.
She'll stay at 152.5.
Sierra Bernard's up, 3rd attempt, 167.5 kilos, 369.3 pounds.
2 for 2 in the deadlift segment as she connected at 152.5, 162.5, and now her final opportunity of the night will be an attempt of 167.5.
Okay. 3rd attempt. Important lift here. Came up a little ugly, but she got it. A little sideways on the way up, but she got it. That's not easy.
3 white lights, 167.5 will be her final number.
Yeah.
Out of the deadlift.
All right, let's see if what she's got to do. She's got to roll the dice to get into the right place here and medal. Where is she? 170 kilos, 374.8 pounds. She's been a smooth, I call it a smooth lifter today. All of her lifts were very, very controlled and smooth. Let's see if she can maintain that for her last and final.
The amount of intensity on her face is palpable. Saylor.
Oof. Yes.
And 3 white lights.
All right.
Saylor
Jumping
at
on a
170.
Coach, happy.
Dicy Ann Saylor just got her personal best at 170 kilos.
Okay.
Her previous personal best was 167.5, so a good finish for Dicy Ann Saylor.
Jessica Shay Edwards. Slow, but moving. Oh, yeah. Looks like she's going to get it. Nice.
3 white lights at
Three white lights
170.
again.
So her night has come to a conclusion.
1, 2, 3, 4 lifters left for the flight. Crowd is very engaged right now.
Schroeder, Peracchi, Millican, and Barber.
These are the lifts that are going to determine the places. Who's getting gold? Who's getting silver? Who's getting bronze? Oh, we got the coach slapping her. Oh, now she's slapping. Oh, that's it. This is it. Bonnie's not fooling around. She is intense. She's psyched up, ready to go. She can lock this up. Good.
3 white lights. She's on at 177.5. And for Schroeder, her personal previous best was at 172.5. Well, she just beat that by 5 kilos.
Okay, same weight. Same weight for Christina.
While I've got a chance, USA Powerlifting is happy to have GNC as a sponsor for the 2017 Raw Nationals. GNC, live well. Find out more at gnc.com.
By the way, SBD is here. We didn't mention them, but they have a booth. So,
okay.
You know what I found out today? What SBD stands for?
What's that?
Squat, bench, and deadlift.
Well, there you go, the 3 disciplines.
Right, here we are. They make a lot of great powerlifting gear. Very respectable company. Nice colors, that black and red. Very noticeable.
Now with that, Jennifer Millican will step to the platform with an attempt of 193.
Jennifer Millican's up.
A participant at the 2017 IPF Raw Worlds. When she's not powerlifting like a boss, a catering, sales, and event planner.
All right.
193 kilos.
She fixed her necklace, by the way, from the squats. There it is. There it is.
We'll wait on the judges.
That's
3
why-
white lights.
That's why she's on the IPF team. That's why she competes at the IPF level. Okay.
A fantastic effort by Jennifer Millican
Melissa
this
Barber,
evening.
Last lifter of the flight? No. Yes. 200 kilos, 440.9 pounds. That's a 7.5 kilo jump from her second attempt.
Jennifer Millican finishes at a 541 Wilks. Melissa Barber. Is she gonna do it?
Oh, just shy of the lockout. Just shy. Great attempt, though. She waited all the way up to the top.
A great finish on the women's side. As we'll now turn our attention to the men.
And we're not going to take a break. They're just going to load the bar, clean it off, and we're going.
Dennis, what I am going to do is I'm going to step away for just a moment, come right back, and we'll wrap this up and come to a crescendo on the men's side.
Where are you going?
I'm going to step away for just a second.
Hurry up.
Take care of some personal business.
I'm going to touch all the knobs while you're gone. Can I play with everything over here?
That might be a Trey question there.
Okay. All right. While Brian's gone, I'm going to keep everybody entertained. It's been some evening of powerlifting here at Primetime, and a lot of excitement, a lot of stiff competition. The room is electrified with people clapping and cheering, and that's what powerlifting is all about. There's so much camaraderie here, and people are happy for all of their friends and fellow competitors. It's really interesting to watch. Gino is currently doing photo ops with guests and other lifters right now. I got to tell you that it's been an interesting couple of days so far here at the Nationals as a sponsor. Just being at the booth and watching everybody come and go and focus on their lifting and focus on making weight and getting themselves ready and all of the preparation it takes. There's a lot of respect that these lifters deserve. Traveling, trying to keep their diet intact while they're traveling and making weight. A lot of sacrifices, all the training that goes into it. Okay, so we have our first lifter getting ready is David Shelton in the men's division. Final discipline here, the deadlift. First attempt of the flight. 24 years young, out of Texas. 260 kilos. No problem. Lift is good. Well, one thing for sure, it's a good thing that these are solid floors, because we're on the 4th level of the hotel here at the Hyatt, at the Orlando Airport Hyatt. And I'd hate to be on the 3rd floor under the deadlifting, because when they put that weight down, sometimes it doesn't go down too easily. David Cauchon's up. 260-pound opener, 573.2 pounds, sumo style. No problem. Did he get it? Oh, I don't know. He went up. Kind of looks like he might not have locked it. No lift, but he'll come back. I think that was more technical in nature. Okay, coming up now is Myo Thiha. 573.2 pounds again, 260 opener, 23 years old, out of North Carolina, young guy. He's lifting in the open division, although he's a junior at 23. Bar's bending at 570 plus pounds. He also had some difficulty at the top, but he'll be back. Again, that was a little bit more technical. He certainly had the strength. Kevin Nguyen, I think I pronounced his name right, sporting the Donuts headband, an SBD singlet, an LVD t-shirt. Okay, he's getting the ball all set. Sumo style. No problem. You got that easily. 3 white lights. Taylor Atwood excelled at the squat and the bench press. I gave him a little pep talk in the men's room earlier. Nice guy. And looking to do a 595-pound opening deadlift. And as I was saying to Brian earlier, whoever is greatest in the squat is usually not greatest in the deadlift, and he seems to be in the middle of the pack here in the deadlift category, which, as long as he's going to have a respectable or good deadlift, that should take him through for a gold medal for the day. We'll see where he's opening up at 270 kilos.
Taylor Atwood in his first deadlift.
Brian's back, by the way.
Yes, I am.
Nice to see you, Brian.
I made sure I got back in time.
Before I caused any damage?
For a burgeoning star in Taylor Atwood. And for damage control also. But
right. 29 years old, out of New York. Lifts with the Strength Guys. What's that, like a powerlifting team or a club?
I would imagine that's a group somewhere, an outfit in New York.
Probably strong people with a name like that. Look at that deadlift, no problem. 3
white lights for Atwood.
You know, he's no slouch. in the deadlift either.
And as Gino mentioned, the hair still perfectly coiffed.
Yes.
Here
So
this
far,
Wednesday evening.
It's almost it goes without saying. I mean, now if his hair is messy, I'm going to be shocked.
Well, there's probably a thought from a number of folks back behind the walls here that if he does finish as strong as we're anticipating that he will, there'll be a number of people clamoring to just try to mess that hair up a little bit. If for none other reason, just maybe a little bit of that mojo rubs off on them for future endeavors.
Yes, perhaps the secret is in the hair.
LJ Abner at 272.5, 3 white lights there, so he connects.
No problem. He's built like a good deadlifter, so I think we should see some good numbers from him tonight. Eric Lapointe is up. 6:06 on his opener. He'll come out with his headphones on and his mouthpiece, dancing around a little bit. There he is.
As we are approaching our 3rd hour completed here at the 10th Annual USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals from the Hyatt
late.
Orlando International Airport. It is getting later.
Coming up to my bedtime
So much
soon.
late that somebody in the arena is wearing some Stitch pajamas, which that's one of the more peculiar things.
I want to wear pajamas.
If I were to wear pajamas, I don't know if I would go with Stitch, but that's just me, I guess.
Okay, Lapointe. No problem there. A lot of speed on that deadlift.
3 white lights at 275. Good opener there.
He's a real contender, Lapointe.
Good. 3 white lights. Here comes Blake Lehew, 22 years old. RJ's on deck.
The 22-year-old Blake Lehew out of Texas. 6:06 opener.
So he'll be opening at 275. Then RJ Hizon will open at 277.5.
Now he makes good use of the time. He in the bench press, if you remember, he was down to 5 seconds. So he takes his time when he's out there. He's down to 20 seconds now, but still plenty of time. No problem.
Lehew, 3 white lights, so he's on the board at 275.
6'11" for RJ Hizon. 277.5 kilos. He's out of Washington State. Here's the guy that for next year's Nationals, all he has to do is get out of bed and walk over.
Kind of like for some of the folks from the state of Florida that are this year's host.
Home field is definitely an advantage when you don't have to travel.
Well,
having traveled, a little off balance, but I think he'll be okay.
Hizon.
I don't think he's injured. I think he's
not able to
a little bit more frustrated or disappointed at most, but he looks like he's intact. So we'll see him come out for his second attempt. And
for someone that did also have to make the trip down from wherever home was, I could think of worse place to have a competition than Orlando, Florida, as well. They call this a magical town. Well, it certainly lives the part.
The good thing about this competition is at the Hyatt Orlando International Airport. So when you arrive at the airport, you've essentially arrived at the hotel. There's not an extra leg of travel with, a shuttle or a lengthy cab ride or anything like that. So
this place is something else. I mean, it's a mall with multiple food courts and a hotel, a world-class hotel, and it's all wrapped around an airport.
It's the only food court in the country where you can take a picture with Goofy and Mickey Mouse.
Another part of the magic of the magical city. David Cauchon, who missed at 260 earlier, his second attempt. It looks like he might have made amends for it there.
Yep.
It's 3 white lights, so he's on.
Yeah, he
at
only
260.
missed it on a technical nature again. Same thing with Mayu. He missed his first more on a technical call than a strength call. So he's going to follow with the same weight as his opener, but I'm going to predict that he's going to get this weight. He's going to be a little bit more focused. Did he get that? He's not staying in the locked position.
So he misses for the second opportunity. So Thiha will have to respond with his third lift just to get a recordable total.
Yeah, that's a little frustrating for him now because he's a little bit behind the 8 ball. He needs his third lift in order to stay in the running for anything. You don't want to come to the Nationals and miss 3 lifts in one of the events. That's disheartening.
Well, especially when it is in fact the deadlift, because that one, you have to carry that one around with you for a while, because that's your last event here.
Let's hope that he can come back and get that third lift.
Josiah Vivero, 265, connecting at 255 already. Three white lights, so he's 2 for 2. And the deadlift with his total going up to 265.
Right.
Shelton, 589. Then Kevin, then RJ.
David Shelton, 589 pounds, 267 kilos. That's a 7.5 kilo jump from his first attempt, which was 260. "24 years old, out of Texas. Titan singlet. A little bit of delay. Plenty of time, though. Whoa. Couldn't move that. I don't know what happened there, but...
So no lift there at 267.5. He will get one final opportunity. As Kevin Nguyen will come on, making an attempt at 275.
Big jump. He went from
around.
262.5 on his opener, Brian. Now he's at 275 kilos.
So he wants to make a move. So we're getting late here in this evening's competition. A lot of these folks will be heading out afterwards, trying to find some dinner. And with that said, one of our sponsors is MyMacros Plus, the complete diet solution. Happy to be at the 2017 USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. For more information on the MyMacros Plus program, log on to getmymacros.com. That's getmymacros.com.
Sound like a food delivery company?
I think what it is it's actually a diet program that can be put on your mobile phone.
Really? Let me look it up. I'm Googling as I'm announcing here.
Nguyen will step up. The bar's ready.
So the website is Get My Macros.
Yes. GetMyMacros.com. Nguyen seemed to make easy work out of that. 3 white lights, so he's on at 275. And that'll bring up RJ Hizon. 277.5 will be his effort here. So he'll be followed by Abner, Atwood, and Lehew. And then
so it's a complete diet and tracking solution where they basically have an app to tell you what, how to track your food, what you should be eating, down to the nutrient level, protein, carbohydrate, fats, quality foods.
Hizon Cannot connect there at 277.5. As he gets off the platform somewhat gingerly. As LJ Abner be making an attempt of 282.5 here after connecting at 272.5. 600, basically 623 pounds.
By the way, get my macros. I mean, you're talking about this. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten dinner. I just had that SSP smoothie. Now I'm hungry again. I need somebody to get my dinner. If anybody's listening, please bring me some dinner. Get my dinner now.
Yeah, that's the kind of mobile app I think that we all need in here right now.
You know, when I get hungry, I get angry. All the more reason that, you know, let's segue that into powerlifting. You have to, you know, this is a long event. We're already on, what, almost 3.5 hours. So these athletes need to have the right diet, not only before the competition starts, but even during. They have to have some sustenance in them to keep them going throughout all of this. It's very difficult, because if you're just on an empty stomach, you're not gonna last. Not only are you going to be in a bad mood, but you're going to be compromised physically by the time that deadlift comes around. Okay, here's Taylor Atwood.
Abner connected at 282.5 now. Atwood.
The squat star and the bench press star. He's pacing, he's looking,
he has definitely caught the attention of everyone in the room.
Yeah, he's on his second attempt at 628. That's 15 kilos above his opener. And there's only 3 other deadlifters after him. So this guy's great.
And I think he's working on a 9 at 9 for 9.
And maybe I'm naive because, you know, I'm just kind of realizing this now, but I can't follow everyone. And I'm just learning that Atwood is a star. Look at
wow.
This. You know what? I got to tell you something. He's having fun.
And he's making it look pretty easy.
Not only, but he's smiling. He's happy. You know, I mentioned earlier when you were gone, I had a great conversation with him in the men's room.
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't, you know, like an intimate conversation.
Right.
Let's not go there.
Right.
It was, but not that there's anything wrong with it, by the way. But yeah, just an all-around nice guy. Stephen Lehew.
287.5 is the second attempt after connecting at 275.
He's
Junior American record in total.
a junior American record in his total. This guy is certainly a rising star in the sport as well. He's got a prosperous and bright future in the sport of powerlifting.
3 white lights, so he's on at 287.5.
And the last deadlifter of the second attempts is Eric Lapointe. 639.3 pounds, 290 kilos, a 15-kilo jump.
Blake Lehew, after connecting there at 297.5, just passed his personal best of 295.
Yeah, and he might not. And he's coming out for a third attempt. He might have a little bit more in him, maybe another 2.5 or 5 kilos.
Eric Lapointe attempting 290.
A big lift.
As with this lift, we will have completed 2 rotations on the deadlift.
This guy's a great deadlifter, huh?
And the folks here inside the Continental Ballroom showing their approval. Well, this is it. This is the crescendo. As we've seen 3+ hours of powerlifting amongst the 74-kilo men and the 57-kilo women. And it's not disappointed this evening. It was fitting for prime time, and that's exactly what they brought. But now it comes down to one final rotation of attempts amongst 10 lifters.
These are the lifts that are going to make the difference right here, right now.
As Thiha will come on for an attempt at 260.
This is the prime time of the prime time.
Looking to get a recorded score.
His tag is sticking out in the back of his singlet. That's bothering me. Let's hope that doesn't have an effect on him, but I'm going to think positive. He's been struggling with the deadlift. He has to get this.
He does. No recorded score as of yet.
And he's following the same weight. Hold it, hold it. Good.
So he connects at 260, so he's on the board.
Good for him.
And he finishes his night in good form.
All right,
David Shelton.
He struggled on his second lift with three red lights, so he's following with the same weight.
Going to follow with the same weight, try to make amends on the 267.5 miss. He does have a score of 260.
I can tell you that right now he's looking a little tired and fatigued, maybe frustrated. I'm not seeing a lot of intensity out of him, but I'm not judging. I'm just saying what I'm seeing. And I don't know. I think he's just going out here trying to do his best, but is it me, Brian, or is he looking a little fatigued?
No, he definitely looks tired.
Okay, well,
but then
looks can be deceiving, my friend. He was saving all his energy for the lift.
He went all out. Absolutely. He went all out for the lift. He got it to go.
All right.
267.5. That's that little something extra.
Yep.
And he pulled it out.
He was, look at him. I mean, he's happy, but he's exhausted. Well, again, I'm happy to see him end it on a very good note as well.
Without question.
But I'll tell you who's happier than me, and that's probably him.
The event has come to a conclusion for David Shelton.
But for David Cauchon, it's one more lift to go.
One more lift to go. Shelton finishes with a subtotal, or came in with a subtotal of 405, 267. So he's now at 672.5 for his night.
In my first powerlifting competition, I didn't know that you had to wear deadlift socks. Oh.
Caution. I don't know if he locked up.
Okay, so he's credited with 260 for his second attempt. He missed his first, he got his second, he missed his third. But
so he finishes at a 637.5.
Something like 12 or 13 lifters to go.
No, not that many at all. In fact, I think we've
we've
got 7 lifters left.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, because some are doubles because they're in more than one category.
Correct.
Got it. It's hard to see because Keller didn't give me a pair of binoculars for being back here so far away.
We'll have to include that in the requisition for next year in Spokane.
Yeah. Come on, Keller, spend some money on a pair of binoculars.
Vivero at 255 and 265. Now the attempt at 275.
He got it. Slow but sure. Ooh.
2 out of 3, a rare split decision on the deadlift.
2 out of 3 is good enough.
Absolutely.
He's happy. He's taking a victory lap. Shaking the hands of the judges. It's always nice. Athletes respect not only the spotters and loaders and their fellow competitors, but the judges as well, unless they give them red lights.
Hizon at 277.5. Vivero finishes at 260, or 660 overall.
Nice. Nice. He missed his first two, and he gets his third.
And the crowd erupts.
The crowd goes wild, and he goes wild. All right. A great way to end the night for him.
Hizon at 277.5 finishes at a 680 total.
Okay. Kevin's up. Doing some last-minute strategizing, little pep talk with the coach. I wonder what he's listening to. Must be something good. It can't be like opera or anything like that he's, it's got to be something inspiring and motivational, no?
One would think.
No Celine Dion?
Perhaps no. Probably not.
All right, let's hope not. Nothing against her, but, come on.
Well, I mean,
it's
great in its place.
Yeah, not here. All right, okay. He looks confident.
Kevin Nguyen at 287.5 on this final attempt. He's already in at 275.
Pull. No. All right.
So Nguyen will finish at 275 on the deadlift.
LJ is up. LJ Abner, Lawrence Abner from New Jersey. 23 years young. Hanging with the best of them on the deadlift platform.
Going to make an attempt at 290.
He's anxious to get out there. Bar wasn't loaded. He's already walking on the platform.
Well, initially he was going to make he's got 282.5. 290 will be his final offering.
Okay. Looks good to me so far. This is going to go. Yep.
Very well done. LJ Abner.
Smiles and handshakes. You got a handshake from Gino on that one.
He goes 290. Finishing at 655 for the night.
Okay, we got what? How many? 1, 2.
Lapointe, Atwood, and Lehew. That's it.
Three lifters left. Here we go. This will, if he gets this lift, this will put him in the bronze medal position. So this is a very critical lift for him. 292 kilos, 644.8 pounds.
As it stands right now, it looks like Hizon is in third. If he connects on this one, he would overtake Hizon for third. Hizon at 680. Lapointe, if he connects here.
I'll tell you, Lapointe looked fantastic on his last attempt. I mean, this guy's like born to do this. Look at this. And he had more in the tank again.
3 white lights, and he gets it.
I showed him how to do that, by the way. We were in the back. I was explaining to him. Gino's raising Lapointe's hand in victory. Good for him. So that puts him in third position.
Looks like that he is going to be at a 680 along with
we got Atwood.
Hizon.
We got Atwood's up. 650.4 pounds. 295. He's in the gold medal position now, but there's one deadlifter after him, so he could be vulnerable.
He's already in at 285.
I'll tell you, this young man has highly impressed me tonight as a all-around powerlifter. I mean, this guy's got it all.
This could be the exclamation point on the night for Taylor Atwood's coming out party.
You know, we were talking earlier about maybe you're not good at football, but, you know, this guy's great at powerlifting. So forget about baseball and football.
For tonight, that's Atwood. All that matters.
Powerlifting is definitely your sport. Maybe he's good at something else like checkers or tic-tac-toe, but
Look at this.
Wow.
Are you kidding
and
me?
And he smiles. And he's hanging out. Look at him. Look at this guy.
Boom. The exclamation point. You see the reaction from Taylor Atwood.
Look at him.
As he wraps up an unbelievable
and his
lift,
hair maintained its
295.
composure the whole time.
And this is what it's forcing Blake Lehew to do. Blake Lehew is going to have to make an attempt.
He's going to have to make a monster attempt.
320 and a half.
Yeah, look, he's going for 706. He's jumping up, 80 pounds?
This is going to require a Herculean effort.
Yeah. Look, not for nothing.
75 pounds.
You can't blame the guy for going for it. But I don't see him getting 80 pounds more than his last attempt. I've been...
Only 2 lifters in the open are going to finish with at least 700. Blake Lehew is one of them. Taylor Atwood's the other. Atwood is at 750.
Wow. Wow.
So they're going to be...
So I don't know what he's got to do right now. Physically, mentally, spiritually, the stars has got to align. Everything's just...
Well, they got to get some more plates out of the back, you'd think, for 320.
Yeah, that too, which is good. So he has a little bit of time to think about it.
320.5.
Wow, the crowd is on its feet. The last lift of the night.
It is
Prime time.
A Herculean effort will be required. We'll see what happens.
And any other Greek god that you can imagine has got to all come out right now. For all the marbles right here. Monster attempt by a very, very talented lifter.
By
the way, he's 22 years old.
And to describe the people, they're all standing in their chairs.
I'm standing on my chair so I can see above them standing on their chair, and we're elevated. If I had binoculars from Keller, maybe I could see.
Lehew.
This is it.
Guaranteed a silver.
You can breathe the tension in the air. You could cut it with a knife. Sumo, wide stance. Thinking about it. 15 seconds. No.
He won't be able to do it.
Hey, he tried. That's what he had to do in order to win.
A gutsy effort from Blake Lehew. But tonight, it's Taylor Atwood as he finishes with a 750. Atwood and Lehew are the only 2 lifters to finish the Raw Nationals at a 700 or better as we come to a close. Dennis Cherry, any final thoughts on the night?
It's been an exciting night. It's been fantastic to see just all of the talent on this platform. You know, you have to have so much respect for these athletes, what it takes to get here, the competition, the camaraderie, the respect that they have for their fellow lifters, for the judges, the spotters, the loaders. It's been a real fantastic time. The stars and even the people that didn't do their best, but they come out of here learning something, and no one gives up in powerlifting. A true powerlifter always comes back, even under adversity.
Want to thank our sponsors one last time: A7, bodybuilding.com, GNC, Sling Shot, MyMacros Plus, SSP, and Titan. Dennis, thank you so much for the time. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure for me as well.
Absolutely. From the Continental Ballroom and the Hyatt Orlando International Airport, Wednesday night, Primetime, comes to a close here at the 10th Annual USA Powerlifting Raw Nationals. We thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for the continuation of the 10th Annual Raw Nationals. Until then, good night, everybody.
And Brian, in closing, remember, a person's worth in life is directly correlated to their bench press.
Words to live by.
Okay. All right, pal. Have a good night.
Thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.